Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Lord, married to a countess at the beginning. Chapter 81. The next morning, Gray got up refreshed. He didn't even mention that two women entered his room last night. To say that he didn't know, he definitely knew. But he could only pretend not to know. Otherwise, all three of them would be embarrassed. Are you ready? Gray glanced at the three women behind him. Originally, he only planned to go down with Laura. After all, Laura was very strong and knew the way. But when Mia and Chuya heard that Gray and Laura were ready to go underground, they immediately couldn't sit still. Laura wanted to be intimate with Gray not once or twice yesterday. If they were left alone, who knows what would happen. It's not that they don't believe Gray, they just think Laura is too cunning. Ready, the three women answered in unison. Gray nodded. Then let's go, Laura, lead the way. Laura obediently walked at the front and entered the pit. Gray clearly saw traces of the snake people's life. Entering the darkness, both Laura and Mia took out several crystals that emitted a faint white light from their storage rings. The light illuminated the road, and Gray and his group soon entered the intricate underground tunnels. The further down, the more Gray feels the temperature is rising. He was about to use magic to dispel the high temperature when he suddenly felt his hand being held by a small hand. Gray turned around and saw Chuya's soft eyes, and she smiled tenderly at Gray. Gray felt that the temperature suddenly became comfortable. The other two people also felt the change in temperature, and couldn't help but praise Chuya in their hearts. Although they knew that Chuya did not release the magic because of them, they still enjoyed it after all. So they didn't say anything about Chuya secretly poking and Gray holding hands. Under the leadership of Laura, the four people swayed around and soon saw a red world. Laura pointed to a green leaf in the middle of the magma and said, "This is it." Gray nodded. "It is indeed not easy for you. You have walked so many roads just now, and there are still some roads that you have opened up yourself." Laura nodded. Yes. Gray admires the perseverance of this female magician, even though Laura looks so calm now. She didn't know how long she had been searching underground and how many tunnels she had dug before she found this place. Not to mention other people. Not even Gray dared to say that he could do it. Gray didn't talk nonsense, and his mental power began to communicate with the surrounding fire elements. But soon he frowned. As if she had anticipated Gray's reaction, she said, "The fire element here is disturbed by other forces and cannot communicate, so if you want to get over, you must withstand the temperature here." Laura took out a white ice-like crystal from the storage ring. The moment this crystal appeared, Gray even felt a moment of coldness here, and then was surrounded by heat again. Laura threw the spirit body in her hand casually, and the crystal exploded in midair, and a cold breath swept out of it. But this cold air has not spread out yet. It was swallowed up by the violent fire element. It is difficult to use external objects to cool down like this. The magma here is very hot and manic. After Laura finished speaking, she took out a black metal strip from the storage ring and slowly pushed it deep into the magma. When she pulled it back, only the small section of the metal bar that had not entered the magma was still there. This metal is called Vecna metal, which has a very high melting point. Under normal circumstances, magma cannot melt it. Laura threw the metal bar into the magma, and then a thick purple magic shield condensed around her and attached to the surface a purple flame that she was proud of. The moment her magic shield came into contact with the magic shield instantly shattered. After Laura finished doing this, she looked at Gray. "Master, I have tried all means, but there is no way." Gray frowned. "You can't use your mental power to get the leaves." Laura's face changed slightly when she heard this. "No. You absolutely cannot release your mental power. The flames here can burn your mental power and soul. And I tried using magic to fly over, but as long as I get close to that leaf, the surrounding magma will attack everything around it." Laura also looked troubled when she said this, "So I could only give up at that time." "Master, what can you do?" She looked at Gray pitifully, looking coquettish. Gray didn't pay attention to her coquettishness. He just stared at the leaf in the distance and fell into deep thought. He knows the situation here. The reason why the magma here seems to be alive is because there are 10 eggs in the middle of the magma. Even the elves want to save and help the egg. This egg must have a great background. Gray is no longer interested in the leaves of the tree of life. He wanted to get the egg even more. But after just seeing Laura's operation, he also felt a little tricky. He couldn't guarantee that his body could withstand the magma here. Gray thought for a moment, and then said under Laura's expectant eyes, "I'll try my strength." Laura nodded happily. "Master, you are so kind." Gray turned to look at Mia and Chuya. "Stand back a little. If any special circumstances arise, leave immediately." Gray instructed Mia and Chuya. The two nodded and walked away obediently. Gray turned around again and closed his eyes. He began to contact those violent fire elements again. The fire element here is different from the licking dogs outside. The fire element here is unexpectedly unruly. Gray no longer communicates with the fire elemental. Since there was no way to communicate, there was no need to talk. Gray chose to flip the table directly. A faint aura spread between his brows. His mental energy began to flow outward. However, his mental strength is wrapped in a special layer of power. This is the power in his body and soul. This power once transformed Chuya. It also transformed except one conscious sapling. Now Gray can only use this power. The blazing flames tried to burn Gray's mental power, but were directly suppressed by Gray's mental power instead. The originally violent fire element instantly seemed to turn into a quail, as calm as and did not dare to say a word. The entire underground world fell silent instantly. The temperature has dropped a lot. As for the violent magma, it is no longer violent. Gray breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that his power was obviously a level higher than that of the egg. He suppressed the egg. The rest was easy to handle. Gray used his mysterious power to control the fire element, causing the surrounding magma to retreat, revealing a dark red crystal stone in the middle. In a groove on the crystal stone, there is a giant egg covered with dark red scales. The egg was the size of a basin, and Gray needed both hands to hold it. Quote, question mark exclamation mark quote. Just as Gray walked to the crystal stone to pick up the dome, he remembered Laura's incredible cry behind him. Gray was not surprised. When he saw the egg, he also realized that this thing was probably the dragon's egg. This is a dead dragon egg. Dragon eggs. Mia and Chuya, who were far away, exclaimed when they heard these two words, then ran to Laura and looked into Gray's arms. When they saw Gray holding a dark red giant egg covered with dragon scales, both women's faces were full of shock and surprise. Dragon eggs. After the Double Tree era, dragons and elves began to gradually disappear on the continent. Nowadays, the giant dragon has become a legend in the eyes of ordinary people. Although they still have traces of activity, every time they appear, they are as short-lived and unpredictable as meteors. Dragons no longer rule the sky, and elves no longer dominate the earth. This has made many modern people curious about these two once dominant races. The same goes for Mia and Akiha. They all grew up listening to the legend of the dragon. Naturally, he is full of curiosity about this legendary creature. Gray passed through the magma, and after he subdued the fire element here, the temperature of the magma here became much lower. Of course, Gray has not been in direct contact with the magma. He has fighting spirit to protect his body and an affinity for the fire element, so the magma will not pose much of a threat to him. He picked up the dragon egg, and at the same time collected the leaves of the tree of life and the red crystal ore under the dragon egg. Then he suddenly raised his eyebrows. Gray looked towards a rock at his feet. Because he was here, the surrounding magma pushed away automatically, revealing a piece of rock. The middle of the rock was supposed to be red crystal. After Gray put away the crystal mine, he was surprised to find that there was actually something underneath the crystal mine. Other ores. It's still the same magic ore as crystal ore. Gray suddenly thought to himself, this is indeed the place chosen by the elves. It is really not simple here. There is actually a mineral vein of heavenly magic. Gray estimated that either the influence of the giant dragon egg caused a magic mineral vein to be born here, or the elves discovered the magic mineral vein to warm the dragon egg, which had very weak vitality at that time. In any case, the current situation is that the elves are missing, and the dragon eggs and magic mineral veins have become Gray's possession. Gray's mood immediately improved, and he felt that this place was really a feng shui treasure. Not to mention that the dragon tribe wants to get involved. Even if the elf tribe comes back, he won't return it. A magic mine. What is that? That is a golden mountain. With this thing, Gray can not only increase the strength of soldiers' equipment by several levels, but also exchange precious magic ores for other equally precious resources. In this world where magic minerals are becoming more and more rare, how happy is a piece of magic mineral? Gray is hard to describe, but he is really happy. Gray picked up the dead egg and put it into the storage ring. Anyway, it's a dead egg, so it's not a big problem. Then he handed Laura the Tree of Life leaf. Laura's eyes tightened when she looked at Gray. Although Gray had said before that he would give her the leaves of the Tree of Life, it was one thing to say it, but it was another thing to be able to give it to her after actually getting it without any hesitation. She suddenly felt that this master was very good. After she goes back, she will optimize her highlights. At least they cannot be smaller than Mia, but not as big as Chuya. She will not be used to it. Watching Gray put away the dragon egg, Mia and Chuya were a little disappointed, and they also wanted to touch the egg. That is a giant dragon egg. How many people on the entire continent have seen a dragon egg? How many people have touched a dragon egg? Gray saw their disappointment. He smiled and then said, "Don't worry about the egg for now. Under the magma, there are 10 magic mineral veins." Mia's eyes widened with surprise on her face. "Are you telling the truth?" Gray: "Of course, Mia, it seems we are lucky." Mia jumped up excitedly. "It's so lucky. The entire field territory is so big, there are only 3 magic mineral veins." Gray nodded. He knew this. The magic mineral veins in field territory have been mined for decades. Over the years, the output has been getting lower and lower. If nothing happens, it will soon dry up. Gray has now rediscovered a new vein of magic, which is a good thing for him and field leader. "Okay, go up first." After Gray finished speaking, he led the people to the ground. Soon the 4 of them returned to the ground, but everyone was a little disgraced. After all, some of the underground passages were really narrow. Gray asked them to wash up first, while he squatted next to the sapling. "Gray, how is it? I chatted with your friend for another night. Did you invite it to my territory as a guest?" Little sapling: Master, I was chatting with the little Tree of Life just now. It said it seemed that it was suddenly not so hot down there, and the egg was also missing. I said you took the egg away." Gray: "What does it say?" Little sapling: "It said that without the egg, the energy below would not be condensed, and this place would not be suitable for it to grow. It also wants to move, and is willing to follow you, as long as you put the egg next to it." Gray: "Isn't there a magic mine below? The energy of a mine is not enough for it." Gray was a little confused. What kind of appetite was this? He now doubted whether he could feed the little Tree of Life. Little sapling: "No, magic mineral veins also appear slowly because of the accumulation of energy in a certain place over time. If the energy no longer gathers together, then the magic mineral veins will no longer grow. Although magic mineral veins are full of energy, it will leak too much energy into the surrounding soil, unless the small Tree of Life can sink its roots into the mineral vein, but it has not been able to do this yet." Gray narrowed his eyes. "Can that egg release energy?" The little sapling corrected again. "Master, that egg will not release energy, but it will attract the surrounding energy to gather." The little Tree of Life said that it is a dragon egg. The dragon itself is a natural gathering point of magic power. It does not need to do anything. The surroundings will naturally become energetic. Gray was shocked. He originally thought that finding a magic mineral vein would be a huge harvest, but he didn't expect that the ordinary egg was the real treasure house. To be honest, just now he was thinking that if the egg was really hopeless, he and Laura would open the egg and have a look. Maybe the yolk inside was still good, and it seemed good to eat the whole dragon egg. He felt that if he cooked the dragon eggs and ate them, his strength would definitely increase. The little sapling's words made him change his mind. This dragon egg can actually raise a small Tree of Life. No wonder those elves would put the egg here. Gray thought they valued the dragon egg, but he didn't expect that the other party regarded it as an endless energy source. But they didn't take the eggs away. This time it was cheaper for Gray. Maybe the magic mineral vein below was created by this dragon egg staying here for a long time. Then if you place dragon eggs on your own territory, wouldn't there be a chance to get a few more veins of magic minerals? But he soon smiled and shook his head. Even if the dragon egg had the ability to spawn magic mineral veins, it would not be possible to spawn a magic mineral vein in a short time. Maybe it will take 1800 years. Gray couldn't wait that long. Now it is enough to know that dragon eggs can make small trees of life grow. In that case, you contact me and I will take you to find it in a while and let it point you in the direction. Gray said to the sapling. The little sapling responded happily, okay, master, I'll talk to it right now. After giving instructions to the sapling, Gray went to take a bath. Fortunately, there was plenty of river nearby. After changing clothes and returning to his cabin, Gray took out his pen and paper. He wanted to tell Anna about his findings. Currently, his territory does not have the ability to process an entire mineral vein. Need Anna's help. Anna must also need new magic mines. Magic ore is very useful. It can be used to build magic guides and arrange magic circles. There are even some magic buildings that require a large amount of magic ore. There is also a need for preparing magic potions or artificially growing magic plants. In short, magic ore has too many uses. With the mining of magic ore on the mainland, the price of magic ore on the mainland will only get higher and higher. Magic ore is now a strategic resource. Gray once heard from Anna that the defense line of Blackstone City to the east requires a large amount of magic ore to build magic buildings. Anna must also have a headache about this. Now she can relax a little. Thinking of Anna, the corner of Gray's mouth raised slightly, and he began to write down what he had seen and heard recently, and expressed his longing for Anna, and finally told Anna about the magic ore. After finishing writing, Gray checked it again before sealing the envelope. At this time, Mia and the other three also returned here after taking a shower. The three women had different expressions. Among them, Chuya's face was red, but there was some pride in her eyes. Mia and Laura also stared fiercely at Chuya's great advantages and fell into strong negative emotions. When the three of them went to take a shower together, they were struck by Chuya. Gray ignored the strange atmosphere among the three women and waved to Mia. Mia then gave up her gaze attack on Chuya. Gray, Mia, do you have a messenger or other pet that can help you deliver messages for convenience and safety, such as an owl or something like that? Gray thinks that the magicians in this world can't deliver messages by giving envelopes to the postmen who run errands, right? After all, he is also a magician. Even if he cannot teleport directly through space, he still needs an owl to control him. Otherwise, if you just rely on people to deliver the message, it will take several days to come and go. As soon as Mia heard the letter was delivered, she immediately remembered the letter she wrote to the Countess not long ago. Her face suddenly turned red, but she still pretended to be calm. Mia, does Lady Gray want to send a message to Lady Anna? Gray nodded. You have to tell her about the magic mine. Mia also nodded happily when she heard this. Okay, leave it to me. As she said this, she remembered something and asked, Master Gray, why do you think my messenger is an owl? Gray wondered. Isn't it? Mia shook her head. Of course not, but my messenger is also very cute. As soon as he finished speaking, a small magic circle appeared in front of Mia. The white kitten with pure white fur, different eyes, and two cat tails poked its head out of the magic circle. After seeing Mia, it walked out gracefully, then walked to squat in front of Mia. Gray glanced at the white cat and felt a faint magic power from it. This is a monster. Mia lowered her head and touched the kitten's head, then turned to look at Gray. Master Gray, give me the letter. Gray handed over the envelope, and Mia carefully placed it in a small bag, then knelt down and put the small bag that looked like a vest on the white cat. Shalbai, give the letter to the Earl. After Mia finished speaking, she was ready to use the magic circle again to send the white cat away. However, she suddenly paused, then picked up the little white cat. Under everyone's doubtful eyes, she pressed her ear against the little white cat and whispered, By the way, please help me ask. I wrote to the Earl last time. Did she reply to my letter? The little white cat tilted its head, meow. Mia patted its little head. Okay, let's go. After saying that, he used magic to send the white cat away. Gray asked curiously, What are you whispering about? Mia Fengqingyan smiled lightly. I just wanted to say hello to the Earl. Gray didn't pay much attention to him and asked, How long will it take you to deliver the message like this? Mia thought for a while and said, If you go quickly, Lady Anna can read the letter tonight. Gray said doubtfully, Didn't you just teleport it directly to Thorn City? Mia shook her head. I don't have the ability to teleport things over long distances. I just integrated Xiaobai into the spiritual world, which overlaps with the real world. However, because the space in the spiritual world is more complicated, many places overlap. They are entangled together, and for relatively long distances in the real world, shortcuts can usually be found in the spiritual world. As long as we find a shortcut, it originally takes about 5 or 6 days to travel from here to Thorn City, but it only takes half a day in the spirit world. Mia informed Gray about the work of spiritual messengers. Gray looked at Mia in surprise. The spirit world? Isn't that a place where only spirits can survive? Mia shook her head again. There are indeed many spirits in the spirit world, but creatures in the real world can also enter. However, the environment inside is very complicated, and the sense of direction is very vague. It is easy to get lost. Very few people will enter the spirit world. Even for a short distance, you may get lost in it, and once you get lost in the spiritual world, there is no way to get out. Mia explained. Although Xiaobai is a warcraft, it is very talented in sensing space and direction, and can move in and out of the spirit world freely, so it can be used as a messenger. Gray nodded after hearing this. So that's it. Then can I directly find a spirit from the spiritual world to be the messenger? Mia. Of course. In addition to messengers, there are also many people who contract with some powerful spirits as contract partners to assist them in fighting and living. Upon hearing this, Gray couldn't help but think of the first time he performed a simple summoning ritual and summoned a very powerful spirit. His mental strength was too weak at the time. The moment the spirit appeared, he was forced to interrupt the summoning ceremony. He only had time to see the image of a woman wrapped in light. Why a woman? Because the advantages are very outstanding. Speaking of which, his mental power is dozens of times more than before. Maybe he can do it again. He now knows nicely why he can summon a powerful spirit with a simple summoning ritual. Because of the mysterious power in him. Gray even felt that if he summoned the spirit again, the female spirit would appear again. Gray thought about it but gave up. Although it was just a glimpse at that time, he felt a huge sense of oppression on that spirit. That spirit is very strong. Gray wasn't sure what he was to her. Is it a companion who has made a contract, a master, or some kind of supplement? While the power in his body brought him convenience, it inevitably brought trouble. That spirit obviously came for the power in him. He wasn't sure he could handle the other party, so he decided to wait for a while. The spirit is not necessary for him for the time being. What he needs to do now is to find the little tree of life, then build a checkpoint here to stop the dragon tribe from coveting this place, and finally wait for Anna's reply. After delivering the letter, Laura couldn't wait to return to her mage tower and inject herself with the perfect life-changing liquid. Gray. Speaking of which, where is your mage tower? Laura is not a local magician. This guy likes to adventure all over the world. This time, he also searched many classics to confirm that elves once lived here. I ran all the way here for this. Now that she said she wanted to go back, Gray remembered that this guy was not yet a resident of his territory. Laura blinked. Master, I live in the Hill Kingdom. Gray's face suddenly darkened. The kingdom of Hilda was very far away from the kingdom of Betru where he was located, with the East Leyte Mountains in between. This woman actually traveled across half of the continent. Gray frowned. How long will it take you to move back? He would not allow Laura to wander outside. This kind of talent must be locked up in the territory. His soldiers are still waiting for the primary life-transforming liquid. Laura stared at Gray and couldn't help but raise the corners of her mouth. She approached Gray and stretched out her hand to draw circles on Gray's chest. Master, are you reluctant to let me go? Gray nodded. I'm very reluctant to part with you. You are the first magician in my territory and a scientific research talent. I also need your life-changing original solution. My army needs you, so I hope you can use it as quickly as possible. Round trip. Laura curled her lips immediately after hearing this. Master, can't you say something that people want to hear? Gray raised his eyebrows. What do you want to hear? Laura looked at Gray eagerly. What do you think? Of course it's some exciting words, it doesn't matter if it's a bit explicit. Gray thought for a while, looked at Laura and said, give me the leaves of the tree of life. Laura. Gray. What? It's not exciting enough. Laura's face suddenly fell, and she could only let go of Gray and stop trying to tease this master. She said with a serious face, "Master, it will take me about 3 or 4 months. I will be able to come back next spring." Gray thought for a while and reluctantly accepted, "Okay, 4 months at the latest. In addition, I am very interested in your magnetic magic and that kind of fire magic. You can leave me a copy of that magic knowledge before you leave." Laura giggled and agreed to Gray, then controlled her flying magic carpet and flew away under the happy eyes of Mia and Chuya. Seeing the coquettish woman leaving, Mia and Chuya looked at each other and felt that they were in a good mood. After sending Laura away, the Gray group focused their attention on their surroundings. During this period, subsequent workers continuously delivered cement and green bricks here. The little yellow hats who were originally here, along with the orcs from the Wolf tribe and the Tauren tribe, had already cut down the trees in the place where the checkpoint was to be built, and also dealt with some boulders, potholes and the like. Just wait for the materials to arrive and start building the levels. Gray went to chat with the workers for a while, expressed condolences to them, and then came to the saplings. He always felt that the tree was growing taller. When he thought that this guy's ambition was to become the 3rd giant tree, Gray didn't know what to say about it. This guy is fruitless again today. Gray thought for a while and then sighed. "How many fruits you have, my soldiers are still waiting for your fruits to strengthen their physique. The constitution fruit is a good thing. It doesn't have a certain mortality rate like Laura's life transformation liquid. Although the improved physique is definitely not as big as the life transformation original solution. But Gray's plan is to first let the soldiers use the constitution fruit to improve their physique, and then use the life transformation original liquid." Laura said that the stronger the physique of a person, the more he can withstand the pain of the transformation process, and the success rate will be improved. As for his soldiers, after being strengthened twice, their physiques should be able to compete with the orcs no matter what. You don't need to be completely consistent with the orcs, you just need to be close to the orcs' physique, and that's already a success. After all, under normal circumstances, the army will be equipped with enough magicians, and auxiliary magic can be used to upgrade the army to another level. Although Gray can transform a batch of seeds again, who knows if other seeds will also have the ambition to become the 3rd giant tree. For Gray, what he needs is a fruit tree that can produce constitution fruits for him, rather than a group of fruit trees that will give up their fruit at any time. Therefore, he does not plan to modify the snakeheart fruit seeds for the time being. Having a talking fruit tree already gave him a headache. The sapling heard the helplessness in Gray's tone. It thought for a moment and said, "Master, I can breed some seeds. Can you use them?" Gray nodded when he heard this. "Okay, but before that, I will take you to find your friends first." As Gray thought, the surrounding soil gently squeezed out several roots. Gray carried the sapling and put it into the prepared wooden basin, and then put some soil into the wooden basin. "Gray, how do you feel?" Little sapling. "To be honest, master, I feel very bad. It's stuffy and uncomfortable. I can't stretch out. There's no nutrition. I feel like I'm going to die." Gray, "Okay, I'm not asking you to stay here for the rest of your life, just stick to it." Gray said and turned around to see 2 pairs of sympathetic eyes. "Gray, have you heard of a druid here, a person who can communicate with animals and plants?" Mia shook her head. "Sir, I have never heard of a druid." Gray, "Okay, I have to go down, you guys wait for me here." Gray glanced at the clothes he had just changed and shook his head. He had just washed them early. Mia and Chuya both nodded obediently. They didn't ask to come together this time, because the coquettish girl had left, so they didn't have to worry. Gray entered the pit again, and under the guidance of the sapling, he soon reached the end of a remote and narrow passage. Little sapling, "Master, it's inside, I can feel it." Gray nodded. "I feel it too." In the soil in front of him, there was a weak life energy. Gray used earth element magic, and the soil in front of him fell one after another. A brand new spacious passage appeared in front of Gray, and Gray walked directly in. Soon he saw a section of plant roots taking root under a rock. The young leaves were still green in the darkness. Gray called him a good guy, and then he pushed the sapling down in front of him. After the exchange between this sapling and a sprouting tree root was completed, the sapling said to Gray, "Master, I have made an agreement with it, you can take action." Gray nodded without any hesitation, and directly used magic to put the small tree of life that had not yet grown up into another wooden basin he brought in. When Gray returned to the ground, Mia and Chuya immediately discovered that there was an extra wooden basin in his hand. There is also a piece of plant rhizome inside. Mia suddenly realized something, and she looked at Gray. Master Gray, what is this? Gray, the roots of the tree of life that have taken root and sprouted call themselves the little tree of life and are the friends of the little fruit tree. Having said this, he looked at the two women and said, yes, it was the little fruit tree who discovered the little tree of life and told me. You were right next to me at the time, looking at me with sympathetic eyes. Until now, the two women finally believed that Gray could really communicate with the small fruit tree. Gray also told them that he could only communicate with small fruit trees, but not other trees. The two expressed their understanding. After all, the small fruit tree was transformed by Gray. When they thought of Gray's magical powers, they immediately felt that it made sense. Mia was in Gray's room, looking at the plant roots in the wooden basin in front of her, and said curiously, this is the little tree of life. It looks so small. Mr. Gray, I heard that the tree of life requires elves from the elves. We have nothing to irrigate with the spring of life, how can this tree be sustained? Gray is sitting on the other side, he is also observing the little tree of life, and behind him is Chu-Yi, who is squeezing his shoulders. This little thing seems to have little to do with trees. After all, it is just a sprout from a tree root. Gray, there should be no problem. Life spring water is essentially a kind of energy-rich water. At most, its energy attribute is life attribute. Gray took out the dragon egg directly from the storage ring. Then he placed the dragon egg next to the small tree of life. Gray, that's enough. We don't have the spring of life, but the effect of this egg shouldn't be too bad. Mia looked confused. She didn't quite understand the relationship between dragon eggs and the spring of life. Gray briefly explained the function of dragon eggs. Hearing this, Mia couldn't help but open her mouth. Gray, that's what the little tree of life said, so it must be no problem to feed it. The question now is how long it will take for it to grow up. Mia thought for a while. Elves are all immortals, I think it will take at least a few hundred years. Hundreds of years, so what does he need this thing for? In hundreds of years, he might even find the giant tree of life. Little sapling. Master, the little tree of life said that it can join in the growth, but it needs the spring water of life. Gray, didn't I say before that I don't need the spring water of life to survive? Mia and Chuya looked at each other, they still couldn't adapt to Gray suddenly speaking to the tree. Both of them looked at Gray, curious as he chatted with the tree. Little sapling. Master, it's okay not to use the spring of life, but the growth of the little tree of life will be slower. Gray understood and raised his eyebrows. Is there no other way to speed up its growth? Little sapling. No more. Gray could only give up the idea of letting the little tree of life grow quickly. He has a certain need for the little tree of life, but for now, this need can be replaced by other things. So he doesn't have to be too anxious in the short term. During this time, he can look for the elves. Although the elves have appeared less and less in the past few hundred years, they have not completely disappeared. As long as there are traces of the elves' activities, it is not impossible to find them. When the time comes, just think about the fountain of life. Thinking of this, Gray could only suppress his restless heart and turned around to talk to Mia about the current situation. Mia, Master Gray is right. The elves are not extinct. There will naturally be a solution by then. Placing the dragon egg and the sapling of life in the room, Gray did not put his little fruit tree back into the ground. With the dragon egg around, the surrounding energy would gradually become more abundant and should be able to meet the needs of the sapling. Because of the existence of the dragon egg, the two women quickly turned their attention to it. Even if the dragon egg is a dead thing, they can't put it down. Gray also let them play. He himself took out the magic knowledge book left by Laura and began to study. Whether it was magnetic magic or the magic of putting flames into the body, Gray found it very novel. Especially magnetic field magic, he felt that this power had great potential, but Laura's use of it was very superficial. Gray recalled the previous battle with Laura. At that time, he felt as if he was in a swamp, surrounded by resistance. This resistance acts on his own biomagnetic field and also on his body itself. The magnetic field is inherently a magical force. Its power not only exists in the macroscopic world, but also dominates the microscopic world. Gray thought of the villain in a famous movie series in his previous life. He has the superpower of controlling any magnetic field. Even in movies where he is cut into a dog, he is a character who can move mountains and reclaim seas with just a single move, let alone his normal strength. Of course, regardless of whether that kind of fantasy character is scientific or not, at least magnetism is worthy of study, and Gray is more interested in electromagnetism. As the four basic forces of the universe, the power of electromagnetism is unparalleled. If he really wants to completely master the electromagnetic force, Gray declares that he is a god. The knowledge and research about magnetic fields left behind by Laura actually seemed familiar to Gray at a glance. Yes, he had learned many of the knowledge points in his previous life. He even felt that some of Laura's research results were far less accurate and in-depth than the knowledge points in his mind. Gray watched Laura mention in the book that her magical knowledge was not developed by herself. She also inherited the research results of other magicians before she reached the current level of research. 0. It's easy to imagine that in a magical world, there are magicians who study the power of science. But in the eyes of these magicians, electromagnetic force is a category of magic. So the so-called difference between magic and science is sometimes not obvious. It feels like magic can be called science if you change your skin. It's just that in this world, magicians can use mental power and magic to control the magnetic field. This is what Gray needs. When Gray got out of the book and felt that he had gained a lot, it was already dark. The two women on one side stopped looking around the dragon egg. Instead, they sat opposite Gray and stared at Gray with their chins hanging. What do you see me doing? Point 0. Gray has just learned how to use his mental power to perceive and influence magnetism, and is in a good mood now. Mia came back to her senses. She was a little unhappy. Gray had been reading that coquettish woman's book all afternoon. What was interesting about that coquettish woman's book? She could also teach magic if she wanted to. Moreover, that coquettish woman is too dangerous, and those photo crystals of hers are simply perverted behavior. I really don't know why Lord Gray is so fond of her and wants to learn from her. Gray-sama won't be seduced away by a fool from the Tower faction, right? What should she do? Countless thoughts flashed through Mia's mind, and she finally said, Master Gray, that Feng, is the note left by that madman from the Tower sect very interesting? Is it about how to dissect people? Gray smiled when he heard this. No, but these notes of hers are indeed very interesting and very useful to me. Would you like to take a look? The things inside are very powerful. Gray has already read almost all the contents, plus he already has a foundation in past lives, so it is very convenient to learn this knowledge. But if it is given to other people, they may need a lot of time to understand and digest the knowledge points and concepts inside. Mia looked at Gray resentfully. Master Gray, every year many people from the Tower sect either go crazy or commit suicide because of their random research on magic. Gray heard Mia's advice. However, he did not intend to listen to the advice, because he understood that there was no problem with the direction of Laura's research, at least for the time being. Gray showed a serious expression. Mia, on the road of magic, you cannot just accept some inherent things and be afraid of new knowledge. When Mia heard Gray preaching to her, she immediately sighed. You used to call me teacher. Gray suddenly lost his seriousness. Okay, teacher, don't be angry. I just think that magnetic field magic has great potential and I want to share it with you. Why, you don't want to see the research results of those magicians from the Tower sect? This is knowledge passed down by many generations of magicians. Even though it has not yet formed a system, you have seen that kind of power with your own eyes. Are you really not curious at all? Gray's voice was like a devil's whisper, full of temptation, and Mia couldn't help but glance at Laura's notes. Gray opened the book, then flipped to the beginning and placed it in front of Mia. Take a look, teacher, I don't read much and have never seen any magic. Please help me see if the knowledge here is true. Mia said coyly. Then I will take a look to prevent you from being deceived. Gray smiled, then turned to look at Chuya. Chuya, do you want to learn how to control the elemental power? Chuya's eyes suddenly lit up when he heard this. I want to learn. She is an orc and has never been exposed to magic before, and it is impossible for her tribe to have any knowledge of magic. So after she mastered the power of ice element, she has been in an embarrassing state of not being able to use it. She has long wanted to improve her skills in this area. Unexpectedly, Gray brought it up. Gray smiled, knowing that neither Mia nor Chuya would let each other be alone in their room. And Mia has just begun to read Laura's magic notes seriously. Magnetic field magic has great potential, and Gray hopes Mia can master it. Although Laura didn't record much, he had a lot of knowledge in his mind, and he would be able to deduce magnetic field magic to another level. At that time, magnetic field magic was no longer just about trapping enemies. Mia won't put down the book for a while, and Gray won't go back to urge her. Anyway, it's just getting dark, so Mia can read it for a while. Once she takes it in, she won't reject it anymore. At that time, Gray will have someone with whom he can communicate and discuss without Laura. At this time, of course he couldn't let Chuya be bored alone. Chuya is a good girl, and Gray won't favor one over the other. Gray, then I can teach you. Although my magic skills are not as good as Mia's, I can still control the basic elements. Gray took Chuya aside and began to teach her to perceive the elements and guide them. Gray taught almost step by step, and Chuya showed amazing talent from the beginning, and it was obvious at first glance. Gray was very pleasantly surprised, but slowly he realized something was wrong. Chuya seems to be getting more and more stupid. There is no cleverness that can be learned from the beginning. Instead, she often made mistakes on small issues. No matter what, Gray just couldn't learn. In the end, Gray could only teach her step by step, and she slowly learned it. Once Gray doesn't teach her step by step, she won't be able to learn. After doing this several times, Gray felt that it wasn't Chuya who was stupid, she was smart, but it was herself that was stupid. Chuya is still smart, and she can still learn everything instantly. As long as Gray is close to her, behind her and holding her hand, she can learn very quickly. Once Gray steps aside, she becomes stupid. Gray understands, it was handsomeness that killed him again. But looking at Chuya's big, innocent eyes, as well as those fluffy ears and tail, Gray couldn't bear it. As long as Chuya can grow, it doesn't matter if he suffers a little loss. Just as the two of them were getting better, Chuya's eyes became watery, and his breathing became a little rapid. Mia's cold voice came from the other side. Humph, are you teaching? They are almost stuck together. Only then did Gray notice that Mia had put down her book and walked over to him. Chuya looked at Mia and bit her lip, and finally could only separate from Gray. It's getting late, Master Gray. I'm going to prepare hot water for you, Chuya said with a slight blush. Mia added, it's time to go out and change clothes. It's really uncomfortable to wear wet clothes. Chuya's face turned even redder. She glared at Mia, and then hurried out. Gray said he didn't understand a word he said. Master Gray, have a good rest. Under Mia's supervision, Chuya waited on Gray and left after washing up. Mia walked at the end, leaving a word and closing the door for Gray. Gray smiled. After the room calmed down, he watered both saplings before trying to use magnetic field magic. Very smoothly, he may be able to trap the enemy with a magnetic field like Lara Croft. As for more uses of this magic, Laura has not recorded it in her notebook. Gray has some ideas in his mind, but he can't implement them yet. Every new magic requires thousands of experiments and modifications. Fortunately, Gray has an understanding of magnetic fields and electromagnetic forces. When you know the result, it will definitely be much easier to deduce magic. Gray suppressed the restlessness in his heart and started practicing for the day. When the moon reached its peak, Gray finally finished practicing and fell on the bed to sleep. And just when he fell asleep, a figure quickly approached on the horizon, and finally landed silently outside Gray's room. Her long dark red hair was fluttering in the wind, her red gold vertical pupils looked towards Gray's room, and the corners of her mouth were slightly raised. Anna did not open the door and go in, but turned her head and looked at the ground not far away if she felt something. There seemed to be something as white as jade. Bone from an ancient species. It smells like a giant. How come there are such old giant bones here? Anna picked up the bones, and then looked at the deep pit under a pile of stone slabs in the distance. After she received Gray's letter today, she rushed over immediately. In order to feel it as soon as possible, she used the power in her body. This caused her body to be eroded again. She now had 2 sharp little horns on her forehead, some fine scales on her fair face, a pair of red flesh wings behind her and a slender long tail full of beauty. It looks like an orc. This is Anna's state after alienation. Under normal circumstances, Anna would not use this kind of Li Huang. Every time this power is used, it will cause irreversible damage to Anna's body. But now Anna has no scruples at all. Because she found the cure. That's why she dared to use her power unscrupulously. Her antidote is in that wooden house, but there is one problem she has to solve, that is, she cannot let Gray see her current appearance. Anna took out a piece of incense from the storage ring, which she snatched from a demon king. Even if the ultimate warrior was attacked, he would be paralyzed for a while. Anna is always paying attention to everything about Gray from her subordinates. She also knew the strength of senior warriors including Gray. She doesn't care how powerful Gray is, she only cares whether Gray is bullied. Fortunately, her husband is very capable and bullies others after he goes out, which makes her feel relieved a lot. At the same time, she also secretly prepared these incense. No, it's in use now. Gray has always been wary. So he woke up the moment the window was opened, and then he smelled the fragrance. Then he lost consciousness. Gray, what kind of intoxicating drug is this? My physique as a high-level warrior has even entered a stronger physical realm, but it was actually put in by a piece of incense. Gray's consciousness quickly fell into a coma. Vaguely, he heard the sound of the door being pushed open, and then a familiar voice sounded. Gray, it's me, don't worry, and have a good rest. Before Gray completely lost consciousness, he only felt the soft touch on his lips. Then nothing is known. The next morning, when Gray woke up from his drowsiness, he saw a beautiful face close at hand. It's Anna. Then Gray felt as if his body was falling apart. Last night I was attacked by my wife at night, and she was drugged. Gray's movements made Anna wake up. The sun fell on her fair skin, which was in sharp contrast with the dark red skin. She opened her eyes slightly, and after seeing Gray's face, her white and slender arms immediately hugged his neck. A small face worked hard to get into Gray's arms, and while twisting her body, she said in vague words, "Get some more sleep, you were great last night." After saying that, she raised her head and kissed Gray's cheek, then lay on him and fell asleep. Gray, what else can I do? I can only sleep with my wife in my arms. Gray is sleeping comfortably with Nephrite in his arms. The 2 women outside the door were a little nervous and at a loss. In fact, in the middle of the night last night, they had heard an indescribable sound coming from Gray's room. Still a female voice. This caused both of them to explode on the spot. They all thought that the other party had stolen the house. Unexpectedly, after rushing out of the room, the 2 of them were stunned. Looking at the person opposite, the 2 were stunned for a moment and then turned to look at Gray's room. Mia was stunned for a moment, and then shrank her neck. She felt the Countess' presence. Lady Anna is here. Chuya originally wanted to rush in and see what was going on. But she was stopped by Mia on the side. Mia told her that inside was Countess Anna, the wife of Lord Gray, and the owner of Field Territory. Upon hearing this, Chuya suddenly became speechless. The 2 could only choose to return to the room silently after looking at each other, starting a sleepless night. It wasn't until dawn that the noise next door became quiet. Then the 2 began to wait. It wasn't until afternoon that Gray opened the door. He leaned against the door and yawned. Hey, morning, Mia, Chuya. Mia originally wanted to respond, but the next moment, she saw the Countess walking out of the room with a lazy look on her face. She was wearing a long black nightgown, and her white and tender skin seemed to be glowing in the sunlight. Even Chuya would feel a little inferior in front of her. Chuya didn't dare to look at the Countess. As Gray's maid, she has unwanted thoughts about Gray, which is definitely intolerable to the mistress. However, she did not expect that the Countess did not look at her at the first moment, but at Mia, whose dog was trying to sneak away. Mia, the Countess sounded lazily with an unmistakable voice. Mia immediately stood up straight and said, Ms. Anna. She responded weakly, as if she was a little doormat. Gray felt the coldness radiating from Anna's body. Anna's red lips parted slightly, and her dark red eyes sparkled. Come over. Mia's little head suddenly shook like a rattle. No need, Lady Anna, you and Lady Gray have not seen each other for so long, you must have a lot to say, right? I happen to have something to do, so I will go out first. Mia started to back away as she said that. Anna sneered and said lightly, I don't want to repeat it a second time. Mia suddenly became speechless, lowered her head, and looked at Anna timidly, and sometimes she would glare at Gray angrily. It's all his fault. If it weren't for him, Lady Anna would still like herself very much. Gray didn't know why. He didn't understand why Mia glared at him angrily. But he could also tell that there seemed to be something wrong between Mia and Anna. After all, Mia had a lot of friendship with him, and Gray felt that he needed to say something good for this female magician with a beautiful smile. He coughed lightly and was about to say something when he saw Anna looking at him expressionlessly. What? What do you want to say? If you have anything to say, go to the bed and say it. Gray scratched his head. I want to say that the weather is good today. Anna snorted softly and couldn't help but glare at Gray. How long did it take for this carefree guy to ask the little sister he had worked so hard to train and take care of for more than 10 years to write a letter asking her if he could have an in-depth communication with Gray? When she saw the letter, she thought she was dazzled. It was only later that I was sure that Xiaonizi was serious. She actually has thoughts about her husband. But a woman can't bear it. Today she wants to be intimate with her husband. I just want to take care of this little girl. This little guy, who sounded so confident in his letter, turned into a quail when he met him. Looking at Mia, who took a long time to come to her, Anna sneered at the corner of her mouth. Why are you so timid now? In the letter, weren't you very arrogant? You said that no matter whether I agree or not, you will sleep with me, husband. As soon as Anna's words came out, everyone present went numb. Everyone in Gray was dumbfounded. He never expected that Mia would be so honest and tell Anna when she said she wanted to. As for Chuya, people are even more stupid. The current situation is more complicated than she imagined. In addition, starting from today, she has to take a high look at Mia. She is a very courageous woman. Probably because Anna told her what she wrote to her, Mia suddenly became stunned again. She planned to break the jar. Mia, I told you, didn't you say that if I meet someone I like in the future, I need to tell you to prevent me from being deceived? I told you, are you regretting it now? Anna's fists were clenched, and her eyes were about to burst into flames. I want you to like other people, and no one will do anything to my husband. Mia pouted. I just like him, and he also likes me. Gray. Anna looked at him. Do you like her? Gray nodded bravely. Although he said it was a bit scumbag, since Mia had said it, he must not be cowardly at this time. And as far as he knew, this world did not require monogamy. It was normal for the Yan clan to have many wives. Anna looked at Gray calmly. Are you sure you like her? Gray nodded. Anna glanced at Mia. I will take care of you in the future. Now that I have decided, you will follow him from now on. He is in urgent need of manpower, and I really can't spare anyone else. The cold aura on Anna's body quickly melted away, and she returned to the lazy look she had just woken up from. Mia blinked and stared at Anna and said, Ms. Anna, do you allow it? Anna poked Mia angrily. Will you give up if I don't agree? Mia shook her head firmly. No. Anna. That's fine, you won't give up anyway, so why don't I agree and let you put it on the record? But while I'm here, you can only wait. Mia nodded repeatedly. Okay, I will wait patiently. Looking at the two women who got along very well, Gray looked confused. Although he didn't understand why the relationship between women could change so quickly, Gray knew that Anna did not reject him and Mia. After seeing the whole process, the leaves on one side suddenly showed an eager expression. But before she could say anything, Anna had already turned to look at Gray. Let's not talk about this for now, I want to ask, what's going on with the egg in your room? After hearing Anna's inquiry, Gray didn't hide it from her. It was discovered underground, because it was the reason why the underground magic mine was discovered. Gray briefly talked about yesterday's process. Anna listened silently on the side, her eyes occasionally flashed with an unknown light, and she looked at Gray with some wonder in her eyes. The dragon's egg has been here for who knows how many years. It is estimated that no one except the elves knows about it, but Gray discovered it as soon as he came and got an accompanying magic mine. Anna nodded, walked up to the dragon egg, and couldn't help but reach out and touch it. The eggshell was cold and the scales were smooth. The dragon egg lay quietly without any breath of life. There was something faintly flowing in Anna's eyes. She closed her eyes, and a faint red light emitted from her hands. Gray watched silently, and a bloodline power that was very similar to Chuya's body suddenly emerged around Anna's body. Gray looked at her fair skin with faint red gold fine lines lighting up, as if they were blood vessels under her skin. As the light flashed, countless red gold fine lines were seen from Anna's whole body to the distance to her right hand. Jen's power spread around her, and then an ancient and noble aura awakened in Anna's body. As Anna's body changed, a drop of red gold liquid slowly seeped out from the palm of her right hand and submerged into the dragon egg in front of her. The next moment, the originally lifeless dark red dragon egg suddenly flashed with dark red light. Like breathing, the dark red brilliance flickers brightly and dimly in the fine scales. Gray seemed to be able to hear a long silent heartbeat in the dragon's egg. The originally lifeless dragon egg was reborn with a breath of life at this moment. Gray's eyes widened. Is this egg alive? This is a dragon egg that has been dead for who knows how long. Can this thing be revived from death? Gray stared at the dragon egg for a while, then stared at Anna's white palm. This hand is very familiar to him. No, every inch of Anna's body is familiar to him. This was the first time he had seen the changes in Anna just now. Anna actually has blood power that does not belong to humans. And that kind of aura is very similar to the aura emanating from the resurrected dragon egg in front of Gray now. Anna retracted her hand, and the blood power in her body quickly fell silent. There was a look of exhaustion on her face, and her soft body leaned weakly against Gray's body. It's just to stimulate it to wake up from silence. It is difficult for dragons to die. They can adapt to almost any environment. The same is true for this dragon egg. It is not really dead. It just feels that the surroundings are unsafe, so it decided to sleep a while. Anna raised her head and whispered into Gray's ear. It's not that she wants to have with Gray, but it just took a lot of energy from her. It takes a lot of power to wake up a dragon egg. If she hadn't replenished enough life energy in Gray last night, she wouldn't have dared to do this. Now she felt like her body had been hollowed out all at once. This made her think about Gray again. Awakening the dragon egg was also for Gray, so it was appropriate for Gray to compliment her. Thinking of this, Anna's eyes slowly turned fiery when she looked at Gray, and her body became even hotter. Gray suddenly felt his ear being licked by something slippery. Then he looked down and saw Anna's fierce and aggressive gaze. Gray, I need to replenish my energy. Anna spoke directly. They are a couple anyway. Anna can also absorb the mysterious power from Gray, and for Anna, it can suppress the power in her body. So when she was led by Field, Anna's favorite thing was to squeeze him. But Anna squeezed him once last night. Gray, Anna, Mia and Chuya are still waiting. Anna, don't worry about them. Outside the door, Mia and Chuya, who were waiting for the two of them to come out, suddenly saw the room door being slammed. After the two women looked at each other silently, they each returned to their rooms. Time passed, and when the sky turned from bright to dark, and then from dark to bright again, Gray opened the door tremblingly. After not seeing each other for several months, Anna is still like that. She is simply not human. Gray wrapped himself tightly in the quilt several times, but still couldn't escape. Unlike Gray, who was pale, Anna's face was rosy, and she didn't feel weak at all as she had just woken up the dragon egg yesterday. Instead, she was full of energy. Mia, who was waiting at the door, looked at Gray with distressed eyes, secretly thinking that Anna didn't feel sorry for her husband at all. What if he was used up? As for Chuya, it goes without saying that the little maid now feels that the mistress is too cruel. Gray's eyes used to look at her with some different emotions, but now after Anna came, Gray's eyes became pure and innocent, without desires or desires. If this continues, where will she have any chance? Both women watched Gray with distress. Anna was keenly aware of the gazes of the two women. She glanced at them, her eyes full of the palace's downward gaze. When she is around, other women have to step aside, and she can use her husband however she wants. And how do these women know that Gray only looks pale on the surface, but in fact he is still there if he squeezes a little bit? Anna's mouth showed a look of satisfaction, and she hugged Gray's trembling body. Thank you, my dear, you are so amazing, I'm almost recovered. After saying that, she left a lip mark on Gray's cheek, and then took out a bone from the storage ring. By the way, this thing seems to be the bone of an ancient giant. I found it over there. Zhao, according to what you told me about Laura's situation last night, this should be something she missed. Since you are her master, I will leave it to you to discuss. Gray looked at the bones in his hand and felt the ancient aura on them. Okay, I understand. Anna stretched out refreshed, then glanced at Mia. Mia, lead the way, I'm going to see the mineral vein. Mia glanced at Gray, then reluctantly followed Anna into the underground. When the two of them entered the ground, Chuya, who had been on the side, immediately stepped forward to support Gray. Master Gray, are you okay? Chuya felt extremely distressed. She moved Gray to the room, poured him a glass of water, and then gently squeezed Gray's shoulders behind him. Gray drank some water, then leaned back comfortably, found the softest and most comfortable position, and then let out a long breath. Still his maid loves him. Gray played with a piece of white bone in his hand and didn't say anything for a while. Chuya gently rubbed Gray's shoulders, and a pair of small hands moved across Gray's strong chest from time to time. Gray didn't react. Sir, what are you thinking about? Seeing that Gray didn't speak for a long time, Chuya asked softly. I was thinking about Anna. Gray responded casually. Chuya couldn't help but feel a little jealous of Anna, but she also knew that she was unreasonably jealous. Anna was Gray's wife, so what was she jealous of when it came to matters between husband and wife? Chuya, you have a really good relationship with Anna-sama. Gray, we are a couple after all. Anna is obviously not a magician. Her physical strength is related to the special power in her body. After seeing Anna awakening the dragon egg yesterday, he had to be convinced. Anna seems to have the power of a dragon in her body. Gray was even sure that Anna had dragon blood in her body. Yesterday, he felt the power of blood in Anna's body. This is troublesome. Dragon blood is indeed a rare treasure. It is said that bathing in dragon blood will give you a long life and an indestructible body. But that is a legend after all. The power of the dragon should not be so easy to control. Gray clearly felt Anna's physical weakness yesterday. Otherwise, he really wouldn't let Anna exploit him for a day and a night. Because he could indeed replenish energy for Anna, which made her energetic again. Gray sighed. He had to be thankful that he was not normal either. The energy in his body could be absorbed by Anna and used to replenish energy. This is a good thing and a bad thing. I don't know if it's his illusion, but I always feel that every time Anna replenishes her energy, her physique will become stronger. His current physique has reached that of a high-level warrior, and he is actually not unable to withstand Anna's oppression. That's outrageous. Is it possible that Anna's physique has surpassed that of a high-level warrior and reached the level of the legendary ultimate warrior? Is this the power of dragon blood? He said that dragon blood is not that easy to control. What made him most helpless was that Anna absorbed the power from his body and her physique kept getting stronger, but even though he had made rapid progress, he still couldn't withstand it. If this continues, it will be really troublesome. Chuya, but you look a little bit bad today. Gray. Gray. I'm fine, just take a rest and I'll be fine. Chuya. Sir, there are some special herbs passed down from ancestors in the tribe, which can nourish the body and restore people's life. Gray was silent for a moment after hearing this. Actually, I'm in good health, and I'm quite powerful. What? I mainly want to taste your tribe's secret recipe, but this herb requires you to return to the wolf tribe. Go and get it. That would be too much trouble. Chuya. No, those plants are not magic plants, and they have no other effects. The tribesmen say they are for men. Men will become stronger after eating them. That kind of medicinal material is very common. If you need it, I can check out the neighborhood. Gray. I'm sorry to trouble you. Actually, I just want to see what kind of herbs are so effective. Chuya pursed his lips and smiled. I know, sir, I will go find medicine for you in a moment. While Gray was talking, his eyes suddenly saw a small fruit tree growing silently on one side. This guy had doubled in size in the past few days. He immediately said to the small fruit tree, Hey, where are my seeds? Let me first say that if the fruits grown from your seeds are not as effective as the ones you produce yourself, I will cut you down. Chuya heard Gray talking to the little fruit tree again. She didn't say anything, she just waited on Gray quietly. The little fruit tree trembled. Master, you try it first. I don't know what effect the seeds I cultivated can achieve, but I can guarantee that it will definitely not be too bad. I will absorb my energy and transform it into the templates have all been copied, and I won't say that the fruits they produce will be exactly the same as mine, but they will at least have 7 to 8% of the effect. Gray snorted softly. If that's the case, I can still accept it. After chatting with the little fruit tree for a while, Gray was too lazy to move, so he let Chuya come in front of the little fruit tree. In Chuyi's surprised eyes, the small fruit tree shook its branches and leaves, and then separated the outer branches, revealing a small white flower in the deepest part. There are more than a dozen small seeds in the flowers. Chuya stretched out her hand, and the small white flower fell into her hand. Chuya felt very surprised, even though she had heard Gray say that the little fruit tree was conscious and could talk. But she is not Gray. She cannot hear the sound of small fruit trees. To her, small fruit trees are no different from ordinary trees. But now she deeply felt the strangeness of the small fruit tree. Gray put the seeds away and then looked to the other side, where the dragon egg began to have breathing effects. Chuya also discovered the changes in the dragon egg. Master Gray, that egg is glowing. Gray smiled. Well, Anna woke it up. When Anna and Mia came up from the ground, both women were covered in dust. Gray looked past Anna and focused on Mia's face, which was obviously still a little red. Gray, Mia, what are you? Mia showed an aggrieved look. Ms. Anna said that my face felt comfortable to touch, so she kept squeezing it. Anna glared at Mia from the side. You haven't even had anything happen to Gray yet, and you've already learned how to complain. Mia sniffed timidly, not daring to say anything. Gray looked at Anna helplessly. Anna glanced at him and said something that made Gray beat his legs. Go back to the house and talk. Gray immediately walked into the room with a heavy look on his face, closed the door, and was about to be pinned down on the bed by Anna when he heard Anna's chuckle. Anna, why do you look so resigned to death? Gray opened his eyes and found Anna smiling next to him, with no intention of replenishing his energy. He immediately breathed a sigh of relief. It's really not that he is incompetent, it's that Anna is too terrible, and even her iron-clad body cannot bear it. Anna put her arms around Gray's neck, her love for Gray undisguised in her dark red eyes. Gray, it's great to have you by my side. Gray touched her head. How is it? Is the magic mine okay? Anna smiled and nodded. The quality is very high, probably because of the dragon eggs. As the dragon's accompanying magic mine, the quality is not low. It can be used to build flame towers to resist monsters. Gray also smiled when he heard this. As long as it works, has the powerful monster in Black Rock City started to move again recently? Anna sighed. Yeah, it's starting to move again. This is a bit abnormal, but because of the help of your factory, the walls of Blackstone City have been strengthened, and we have built many more defense towers, and the effect is very good. Gray, that's good, then I'll leave the magic mine here to your people. By the way, my city also needs some magic buildings. When do you think we will call in some experienced people to use it? Anna rolled her eyes when she heard this. I gave you so many people, but they are all gone forever. How many more people do you want? Gray laughed. Not this time. As long as they help me build some fire steps and the like using magic ore, I will let them go back. Anna. Okay, I'll make arrangements when I get back. The two quickly decided on the use of the magic mine. As for the remaining ore after the construction of the flame tower, a small part will be left behind, and most of it will definitely be exchanged for various materials. Anna will do these things and the supplies she gets in exchange will be given to Gray. Gurgling, Gray drank the dark soup in the bowl in one gulp. Then he wiped his mouth and said, it tastes good. I'll put in more small red fruits like this next time. After Gray ate all the otherworldly version of the wolfberry floating in the soup, his pale face regained its blackjack rosiness. Anna has lived here for half a month, and the deep pit that originally looked like ruins has been completely dug out. The entire snake tribe has completely turned into a large-scale construction site. The magic construction team from Thorn City has successfully guided the underground magma to other places and has begun mining magic ores. In Black Rock City and Gray's new city, the magicians have also started working. Both cities are preparing to build 36 flame towers to form a dense fire coverage area. In order to cooperate with some of the flame towers set up outside the city, Gray sent people back to inform Taya in the city to summon 10 groups of workers and orcs to build 24 great power defense towers outside the city. It's similar over there in Black Rock City. Originally, Anna planned to leave. But when she heard that this place was coveted by the dragon tribe, she immediately changed her business. She hates those lizard people calling themselves dragon people the most. Because she herself has a relationship with dragons, she would feel offended by those lizard tribesmen who dare to call themselves dragons without wings. So she planned to stay and see what the dragon tribe had to offer. And Anna's stay made Gray almost have a habit of drinking a large pot of aphrodisiac soup provided by Chuya every day when he wakes up. Gray was relatively restrained at first. But when he discovered that this aphrodisiac soup could indeed replenish energy, he stopped being shy and asked Chuya to prepare a pot for him every day. There is no way, Anna is too cruel, she is simply not human. Chuya sighed. Sir, I have picked all the wolfberries nearby. Ever since Gray told Chuya that the red fruit of this immigrant plant was called wolfberry, she had been calling this medicinal material that way. Gray was shocked when he heard this. What? Gone? There are no wolfberries in such a huge mountain. Chuya thought to himself, this place is indeed big and there are indeed many wolfberries, but how can anyone eat a pot a day? In this half-month, no matter how many wolfberries there are, I will serve you to eat. Thinking of this, she glanced at Gray, whose face turned pale again, and couldn't help but feel distressed. At the same time, she also glanced at Anna resentfully. Lady Anna is too inconsiderate of Lady Gray's health. If this continues, Lady Gray will not be able to bear it as time goes by. Anna felt Chuya's gaze, and she probably knew what Chuya was thinking, but she just smiled. It can only be said that Chuya is too young. She knows Gray's body very well. There is this majestic energy hidden in his body, but she can only squeeze out a little bit every time. But even a little bit nourished her body like never before. Even the dragon blood in her body became much calmer as a result. And after her body was strengthened by that kind of power, it became much easier to face the erosion of dragon blood. Even the situation where one use of dragon blood would lead to alienation for several months has never happened again. As long as he is around Gray, even if he uses dragon blood, he can quickly suppress the erosion of dragon blood. Even if she is not with Gray, given her current physical condition, the alienated state brought by the dragon's blood can be fully recovered in a day or two at most. Of course, these are not the most important reasons for her to become a juicer. The most important reason is that Gray does bring her happiness. Anna, Chuya, don't be deceived by him. He just looked at it and couldn't help it. He said this every time, and it works every time. You will understand later. After being together for so long, how could she not understand Chuya's thoughts? With the mentality that one more is not too much and one less is not enough, she accepted Mia anyway, and she could also accept Chuya. Chuya left the clan for Gray anyway, which is enough to show her attitude. Chuya's face turned red when he heard this, and he looked at Gray lovingly with a pair of watery eyes. Gray. He ate a large handful of wolfberries in silence. Gray felt that he could not continue this topic. While eating wolfberry, he looked in the direction of the checkpoint. Look, the medical card has been repaired. Chuya. Sir, please save some of these wolfberries, they are gone. Gray. Mia, can you help me deliver a letter to Taiya? Mia looked at Gray, who had obviously lost weight, nodded silently, and then she glanced at Anna unhappily. Why doesn't Lady Anna leave yet? Her Lord Gray was about to die. If she doesn't leave, how will she get the upper hand? Woman, she must be afraid that Master Gray will be snatched away by me, so she stays here and refuses to go back. Fortunately, Chuya can brew the wolf aphrodisiac, as well as that kind of wolfberry. I will prepare some for Master Gray in the future. Gray quickly wrote a letter from his room. The general content was to ask Taiya to collect more wolfberries for him and send them over. And he emphasized that this matter should not be done in a big way and to find a few trustworthy people to handle it. I believe that with Taiya's loyalty and wisdom, handling this small matter will not be a big problem. After handing the envelope to Xiaobai and watching Xiaobai leave, Gray felt much more relaxed. Without enough wolfberry, he felt insecure. Winter snow is falling over Gray's city. This is the first snow this young city has experienced. In the military camp, a little white cat walked out of a magic circle. The kitten smelled the smell in the air and quickly locked on Taiya. At this moment, Taiya is training newly recruited soldiers in the military camp. Suddenly seeing a white cat appear, he subconsciously raised his vigilance. Then his nose moved slightly, as if he smelled Gray's scent, and then he relaxed. Meow. Xiaobai took off his backpack as he passed by, and then took out the letter. After reading this, Tai Ya's face looked a little bright. Then he found a few wolves he felt he could trust. You go and collect some herbs, these are the ones. Tai Ya said the wolfberry. A young wolf clan member was stunned when he heard this, and then showed a meaningful smile to Tai Ya. Master Tai Ya, are you in poor health? Tai Ya glared at him and said subconsciously, this is what the lord of the city wants. Then everyone was silent for a moment. Tai Ya also fell silent immediately. Just now Gray said he wanted him to keep a low profile. He had a toothache, but he didn't expect that he would let it slip so quickly. Tai Ya glared at several human wolves fiercely. Boys, listen to me, you can do the medicine secretly. The sooner the better, the adults seem to be in a hurry and need a lot of this matter. Don't spread it out, if I hear even a little bit of it, you will be dead. The werewolves looked solemn, and they patted their chests and promised that they would never tell anything about the lord of the city. The next day, Quentin brought a group of old, weak, women and children to deliver cart after cart of wolfberry and then found Tai Ya. Quentin, I heard from the boys that there is a big shot in the city who needs these medicines. Quentin winked and deliberately emphasized the word, big shot. It was obvious that the only noble in the entire city was Gray. He was the only one who could be called a big shot, and he was the only one who could use Iron Fang. The wolf cubs did not say Gray's name, but because they lacked experience in living in the city, they did not understand who could be called a big shot in the city. There were 10 Grays in Song Dynasty. So they basically sold Gray with the first sentence they spoke to Quentin. Tai Ya. Soon, word spread that people all over the world secretly used the secret medicine of the wolf clan. No need to ask, Tai Ya knew that it was passed down by an old wolf who did not want to be named. The residents lacked entertainment to begin with, so they naturally relished these gossips. Until they discovered that the wolf aphrodisiac was really powerful. In the next half-month, the wolf aphrodisiac suddenly became popular. After all, this is a good thing that most city lords use. Tai Ya finally had to make a loyal decision with tears in his eyes. Soon, another rumor appeared in the city, that the commander of the city defense army, Tai Ya, was the real one. The lord of the city was fine, but it was Commander Tai Ya who needed medicine. The residents were skeptical about this, but considering that Tai Ya was from the wolf clan, it was only normal to use the secret medicine of the wolf clan, so the residents began to spread the news that both Gray and Tai Ya were taking medicine. What? Even after Tai Ya did this, why did the residents still discuss Gray? Public opinion is like this. Everyone likes to hear it, and they like to spread it after hearing it. Want to stop it? It is basically impossible. You can only use bigger public opinion to overwhelm the previous public opinion. But Tai Ya was a bit unlucky, so not only did he fail to help Gray, he also got involved himself. But because of this, the secret medicine of the wolf tribe will soon become one of Gray's largest gold mines. As for reputation, Gray doesn't care at all. How much is reputation worth? How many high-level magicians can it be exchanged for? If you can exchange it for him, exchange it for one immediately. Chapter 91. Gray has been basically in the position in front of the snake tribe this month. The level has been built to a height of nearly 40 meters, connecting the cliffs on the left and right sides. Gray thinks it's almost done. Although this is a world where magic exists, most people, whether humans or orcs, are helpless against such a high level. Only warriors, knights, and magicians can pass such a high level. But even if you are a warrior, knight, or magician, you must reach the intermediate level or above. It is difficult for junior warriors and knights to pass the level of magic robbery. As for destroying levels, you must be intermediate or above, or even a senior warrior or magician. Gray spent a lot of materials when building the levels. The levels are very thick and difficult to destroy even if an intermediate magician uses magic. To be on the safe side, Gray is going to apply some magic on the level to make it stronger. Gray is very satisfied with his first level. According to this level of solidity, it can be called a great pass. Used to deal with the dragon tribe, Gray felt that it was overqualified. Gray tried it himself. It takes a lot of effort to jump directly to the top of the 40-meter city in one breath. Not to mention everyone else. After the level was completed, Gray breathed a sigh of relief and rewarded himself with a handful of wolfberries. Anna is now at the checkpoint, overlooking the swamps in the north. With her eyesight, it is easy to see the miasma-filled edges, where the figures of the dragon tribe are swaying. Anna narrowed her eyes. In the past 2 days, those lizards have appeared more and more frequently. Gray chewed the wolfberry and said calmly, "It's normal, they have been observing the snake people before." Later, because of our arrival, the lizards were quiet for a while, probably waiting for winter to arrive completely. The snake people are disgusted with the cold air. The high cold in winter will affect the combat effectiveness of the snake people, so they waited again, until now. Then I discovered that there was an extra level, so naturally I needed to send more people over to check it out. I guess the mountains next it will be very lively tonight. Gray said nonchalantly. He was very familiar with the snake tribe's territory, and the roads on both sides could not support large troops approaching. Therefore, the checkpoint under his feet is the only way. I believe that within a few days, those lizards will understand that this is the only way to go south. Anna, what are you going to do after you defeat the dragon tribe? Gray thought for a moment and said, "It depends on the situation. If they come in small numbers, beat them up and take them prisoner." Anna, what if they come in large numbers? Gray, then beat him up and take him prisoner. Anna, she looked at Gray with some curiosity. You seem to be very confident. Gray smiled when he heard this. During this period, I have learned some interesting magic, and I can practice with the dragon tribe. Anna nodded. She had indeed seen Gray drink wolfberry tea and see how to use it recently when he was fine. However, Gray's mental strength seems to be only at the level of an intermediate magician, and the use of magic may not be as effective as his close combat results. Anna didn't ask in too much detail. Anyway, she would be able to see Gray's magic by then. After the level construction is completed, the military experience of the host is naturally needed. Gray has already brought all the soldiers he brought from Thorn City here. As for his city, the new recruits can now take over the city defense work. There are still 1,000 orc soldiers here, and their combat effectiveness is absolutely no problem. The most important thing is that there are iron teeth. Taya is now one of the top experts among the orc elders. There are also 3 major orc tribes guarding the city. Although the elites of the snake tribe have arrived at the checkpoint, the remaining snake tribe are not soft persimmons. It can be said that Gray is not worried at all about the safety of the city. A few days later, Gray squatted next to the stove on the city wall to keep warm. A sudden heavy snow covered the entire valley. At the same time, it also marked the sound of the horn of the dragon tribe's attack. Gray looked below. In the snowy valley, a dense group of lizard-like orcs wearing simple animal skins were swarming toward the checkpoint with swords and spears. Vaguely, Gray could also see several draconian orcs surrounded by a large army. They were an old lizard, a middle-aged lizard and a young lizard. They were obviously people with extraordinary status in the race, not elders or the strong ones in leadership. Beside Gray, thousands of archers were ready, as well as some slingers. Ordinary lizards are completely powerless against city walls. As for the elite warriors among the orc commanders basically have nothing to do. Only the orc elders pose a threat to Gray and the others. After all, the dragon tribe is one of the 3 major tribes with a large population. There are 3,000 to 4,000 orc soldiers here alone. Gray didn't know if this was the full strength of the dragon tribe, but he knew that the wolf tribe, Tauren tribe, and snake tribe definitely didn't have so many warriors. Gray was a little curious. Speaking of these lizards living in swamps, what do they eat to grow up? There are so many people. The swamp is obviously a difficult place to survive, but it is unscientific for these big lizards to be able to live so well in it, and the population of the species is still increasing year by year. Kara explained on the side. Master Gray, the living area of the dragon tribe is not entirely swamp, there are also large forests and lakes, where there is sufficient food supply. Gray nodded. I see, the archers are ready. The archers immediately bent their bows and nocked arrows. These include not only Gray's archers, but also the snakemen and wolves. As for the Tauren, they prefer to rush forward with big sticks or giant axes. On the other side, on the snow below, the approaching dragon tribesmen also rushed towards the tall city wall opposite under the loud encouragement of one of the slightly older dragon tribe elders. They had never seen such a high city wall before, and they did not believe that such a high city wall could suddenly appear here. Even if this city wall is real, so what? How strong can something made in a hurry be? Besides, it's not like the warriors of the dragon tribe have never fought against humans. They once wreaked havoc on the borders of those countries in the north, and they are very familiar with attacking cities. You only need to find the uneven stones on the city wall and use them to move upward. The only thing they need to worry about is that the city wall is a bit high and they need to be more careful. Buzz. On the city wall, the sound of collective bows and arrows being drawn could be clearly heard by the dragon tribe below. They are not afraid of human arrows because they have a thick layer of horniness on their bodies that can be used as armor. They were also attacked by other human archers. It was difficult for ordinary soldiers to shoot them. They were completely fearless and continued to rush forward with excitement and shouting. But they soon discovered something was wrong. Because there was clearly a distance of tens of meters, they ran for a while before Tang Ran moved a few meters away. Only then did the lizard man realize something was wrong. What's going on? There is a huge force stopping us from moving forward. As soon as he finished speaking, he heard the sound of arrows whizzing towards him. Beware of human arrows, a companion reminded him. The lizard man showed his black teeth covered with mucus and laughed at his companions. Ha ha ha, human arrows can't hurt us at all. But the resistance we encountered must be caused by those stupid humans. Do you think this can stop the great dragon tribe from going south? Ha ha ha. He had just laughed a few times when he was suddenly shot straight through the head by an arrow. Blood mist exploded on his head, freezing the ferocious smile on his face. Thump. The body fell. The surrounding dragon tribes widened their eyes in disbelief. It is not that they have never encountered human arrows, but they have never encountered a human being who can shoot such a powerful and heavy arrow. Could it be that this guy was unlucky and was shot by a human warrior? While his companion was thinking, he suddenly heard the continuous sound of heavy objects falling to the ground around him. Thump, thump, thump. The strong smell of blood filled the air instantly, and people around him were constantly shot through by arrows. Suddenly, the soldiers of the dragon tribe panicked. They had never encountered such a terrifying rain of arrows. This round of arrow rain came down, and almost all the dragon soldiers in front were shot dead. Puff puff. Dense arrows fell, and all the dragon soldiers in front turned into hedgehogs. The people behind immediately did not dare to move forward. Gray showed a satisfied smile after seeing what was happening below. There are so many ways to use magnetic field magic. In addition to being a standalone magic, it can also show powerful auxiliary effects on the battlefield. The first round of attacks just now killed 200 to 300 dragon tribesmen. It was the effect of the magnetic field magic that brought the bed. First, magnetic field magic was used to create a huge magnetic field to restrain the forward speed of the dragon army, and then the magnetic field was used to accelerate the arrows. This is why the arrows that should not be able to harm the dragon people have a huge killing effect on them. In addition, magnetic field magic has a very good advantage. That is, you can use some magnetic materials and magic materials to amplify the magnetic field effect dozens of times. This can not only save the consumption of mental energy, but also make the use of magnetic field magic on the battlefield more flexible. Anna was also a little surprised when she saw this scene. The defense power of the dragon tribe is relatively famous among the orcs. The 10 thick layers of cuticles on their bodies once made many archers despair. Unexpectedly, this problem was easily solved by Gray. Anna looked at Gray with a smile. Is this your magic? Gray nodded. Magnetic field magic, this is just a simple application of magnetic field. I suggest you also try to use this magic. However, considering that the opponents we encounter are different, you have to see it for yourself. Then decide. As Gray spoke, the orc commanders of the dragon tribe below could not sit still. They have discovered that something is wrong, but for strong men like them, when the tribe encounters difficulties, they must take action. After several roars, several strong and scarred dragon men each led 10 elite teams and came toward the city wall from all directions. And when they stepped into the magnetic field magic circle prepared by Gray in advance, they still felt huge resistance. The expressions of several dragon commanders changed slightly, but they did not panic. Instead, they roared and continued to rush forward. Gray waved his hand. Fire the arrow. A dense rain of arrows fell, and the leaders of the dragon tribe shouted. The next moment, the elite dragon tribe behind them immediately took out the thick wooden shields behind them. Although the wooden shield is simple, it is very thick. The arrows nailed to the wooden shield did not have the same lethality as before. The dragon soldiers' eyes suddenly brightened, and they began to look for trees around them and make shields on the spot. When Gray saw it, he immediately began to use his mental power to modify the surrounding magnetic field. Then when another large group of draconians walked into the magnetic field with wooden shields, Gray ordered the arrows to be fired again. Soon the arrows rained down again. The dragon-human lizards were no longer afraid this time. They stared at the humans and snake men on the city wall. In addition to anger, their eyes were full of bloodthirsty killing intent. As the three strongest tribes among the 8 tribes, the human race has always been domineering. This is not the first time they have oppressed the snake tribe. These weak little snakes are all weak and pitiful. They even have very few male tribesmen. It is a joke that this race can be ranked alongside their dragon tribe. The dragon tribe has long been unhappy with the snake tribe, and now the snake tribe actually dares to unite with those cunning humans to resist them. And the transformation caused them heavy casualties. How could they accept it? They all thought about how to massacre humans and snake people after breaking into the city wall. At this moment, a dull crashing sound sounded. The iron arrows that were originally unable to penetrate the wooden shield miraculously penetrated the wooden shield, and then started a new round of massacre against them again. Humans. Several dragon tribe leaders saw the soldiers around them falling down one by one again, and their eyes glowed red. Their physical strength is far stronger than that of ordinary soldiers, so they can pass through the magnetic field area much faster. When Gray was killing the ordinary dragon soldiers, they had already rushed to the city wall. Humans and snake people, wait until I can go up. A commander shouted excitedly. According to the previous methods of dealing with human cities, you only need to find places where you can borrow strength, and you can quickly reach the top of the city. At that time, with the strength of people like myself, won't it be easy for those small humans and snake people? They looked up with a ferocious smile, and then their smiles stiffened. Looking up, I saw a wall so straight and flat that only my head could be seen. There are no rough spots at all. Every wall is extremely smooth, as if it has been carved out. How can this be? The dragon man's eyes widened in disbelief. They had never seen such a smooth city wall. While they were in a daze, some heads suddenly popped out from above their heads. After confirming their position, the next moment, the boulder fell. The dragon commanders cursed one after another. Some commanders directly used the power of blood in an attempt to penetrate this flat wall. Boom! The sound of flesh and bones exploding sounded. A dragonite warrior used his arm to get a small dent on the opposite wall. The dragon commanders were heartbroken when they saw this scene. This is a blow from a commander-level powerhouse. This fist can definitely blow up a boulder as high as a person. And when this punch landed on the city wall, it actually left only a small crater the size of a fist. Throw a spear. A leader of the dragon tribe refused to give up and roared angrily at the dragon tribe army in the distance. Soon, countless dragon soldiers in the army were throwing spears at the city wall with all their strength. It's just that their long-range attacks are powerful and heavy, and they will definitely make the people on the wall pay the price, and they can also use spears to nail on the wall to climb up. But before their smiles were fully revealed, they froze completely. Because the originally powerful and heavy throwing attack slowed down rapidly when approaching the city wall, and finally the spears fell to the ground one by one. The people of the dragon tribe couldn't believe what they saw. Gray turned to Anna and said, "In addition to trapping the enemy, the resistance magnetic field can also protect yourself and make the opponent's long-range attacks ineffective." At this point, Gray has almost used the magnetic field magic he currently has. Now he has one last trick left. But for now, he has to do this trick himself. But Gray believes that the effect of this blow must be very good. Before he did anything, he was showing Anna the effects of magnetic field magic. Now that the display has been completed, it is estimated that the dragon elder opposite cannot sit still. It is time to end today's performance. Gray randomly took out the extremely fast iron piece from his storage ring, and then mentally dragged it in front of him. Then the magnetic field around him began to change crazily, adding all the energy to a straight line. Then Gray only needs to exert a slight force, and these iron pieces can be shot out like cannonballs. That's right, it's an electromagnetic gun. Magnetic field magic has entered the 683rd level version, electromagnetic field magic. As for where he got the electricity, Gray said that in this world, charged particles are also controlled by magnetic fields. So as long as you understand some principles, magnetic field magic can be advanced on the spot. But at this moment, the middle-aged dragon elder couldn't bear it anymore. Since ordinary soldiers can't win this level, let him do it. He has absolute confidence in his own strength. Among the entire orc tribe, his strength is enough to rank among the top 3. Only the strongest elder of the Bear clan and the strongest elder of the Golden Eagle clan can give him a fight. He had absolute confidence in himself, so he rushed out without any hesitation. After crossing the resistance zone at an extremely fast speed, he jumped into the air with a height of more than 40 meters. All the humans on the city wall felt his extremely powerful aura. This kind of aura, even among high-level human warriors, is definitely the top figure in the pyramid. So it's normal for him to be confident. It's normal for him to dare to rush up alone. Even many dragon soldiers had smiles of victory on their faces when they saw him appearing. He symbolizes invincibility and victory, and he is the faith and reliance of the dragon people. He made a gesture of wiping Gray's neck, and then tried to appreciate the frightened expression on this human pretty boy's face. Unfortunately, he didn't see anything. Gray looked calm, and a fist-sized piece of iron floating in front of him was aimed right at him. Then the air wave rolled, and under the extreme acceleration, the initial speed of the iron block reached an incredible level, and there were faint electric arcs pulsing around Gray. A ray of blue light instantly penetrated the body of the elder of the dragon tribe, beating the strongest warrior of the dragon tribe into pieces of flesh and floating in the air. For a moment, the whole place was silent. Gray's burst of energy at that moment had exceeded many intermediate magics. In Anna's opinion, this blow could be regarded as high-level magic. And it is one of the most powerful types of advanced magic. In an instant, an orc elder killed the other party before he could react. And just now she saw that after the iron piece exploded the orc elder, it flew towards the sky at an undiminished speed. If this magic were used face to face, wouldn't it be possible to eliminate all enemies in a straight line at once? It's a pity that Anna doesn't think any magician can cast such magic. However, she was very interested in some of the magic circles Gray showed her before. With the magnetic field magic and flame tower, the security of Blackstone City's defense line will be greatly improved. Compared to Anna's calmness, the reactions of others were much more intense. Whether it is humans, snake people, or the dragon people below. They almost always broke out into fierce noises and agitation after a short period of calm. There was surprise and awe on the part of the humans and snakefolk. They originally thought that the elder of the dragon tribe would climb the city wall and kill them. They are all ready to use their lives to pile up. Unexpectedly, Gray solved the problem with just one blow. The pupils in Kara's eyes couldn't help but shrink. The reason why the orc elders are powerful is because of their strong physique, which can resist intermediate magic and also have a certain resistance to high-level magic. Even if it cannot block high-level magic, it can still react in a very short time. And Gray's thunderous strike just now didn't give the elders of the dragon tribe any chance at all. Even someone like her, who had already seen Gray preparing, was startled by the attack that was too fast to see. She didn't even react, let alone the other side. Doesn't it mean that Gray is a high-level warrior? Kara was shocked that he could defeat the black-striped bull. I didn't expect that he was still a magician and could use such powerful magic. From the beginning, the entire battle was almost a personal one for Gray. Although they shoot arrows on the city wall, they also know that ordinary arrows will not have much effect on the dragon people. The reason why they were able to kill a large number of Dragonite soldiers was entirely because of Gray's mysterious magic, which could slow down the enemy's movement while greatly increasing the lethality of bows and arrows. Is this the power of this lord? Kara was extremely grateful for her choice at this moment. She made the right bet. There was cheering on the city wall, but there was panic and chaos below the city wall. Countless dragon soldiers witnessed the death of their most admired elder. The impact of having their spiritual beliefs directly shattered caused the dragon soldiers to fall into panic, cowardice, and madness. The dragon-human soldiers, who were originally full of confidence, instantly began to panic. And at this time, Gray didn't hide it anymore. This demonstration of magnetic field magic ends here, it's time to close the net. When Gray's mental power is released, all the magic circles are activated. Soon, the dragon soldiers discovered that the strange resistance was not only in front, but also around them. Even the soldier at the back instantly felt something was wrong. They felt that every move they made required a great deal of strength, and their movements were still extremely slow. At the same time, Gray looked at Anna with a smile. Anna, it's your turn. Anna readily agreed to Gray's request. Then, under the horrified and shocked eyes of the Snake Tribe and Dragon Tribe, Anna raised her white and tender hands. In the sky, the fire element suddenly became active, and a fire element completely covered the thousands of Dragon Tribe people below. A huge magic circle appears. Fire snakes squirmed in the magic circle. In an instant, the surrounding white snow completely melted, and the rolling heat waves made everyone's hair fly. A heart-stopping sense of oppression and an aura of destruction slowly spread from the magic circle. The moment the magic circle appeared, everyone understood that the battle was over. Wait, dear Countess, we surrender. Give up. Before Anna's magic circle rained down the terrifying flames, the old dragon elder among the dragon tribe surrendered loudly in fear. His forehead was covered with big beads of sweat. The magic circle in the sky gave him a strong sense of death crisis. If he doesn't surrender, all the dragons present will die in the next moment. This made him suddenly realize who the humans on the opposite side were. At the same time, it reminded him of a woman who had frightened him for a long time. Anna raised her eyebrows when she heard this. Do you know me? Her voice was not loud, but it could clearly reach the ears of everyone present. The old dragon clan elder showed a bitter smile. 10 years ago, I beat you in Kylan City. Anna seemed to have remembered something when she heard this and said, Oh, I remembered it. What? Now you lizard tribe are going south again. The elders of the dragon people said in their hearts that we are called the dragon people, not the lizard people. The old dragon elder. Sorry, Countess, we have no intention of invading your territory. We just want the territory of the snake people. We don't know the relationship between you and the snake people. We have no intention of offending and ask for your forgiveness. Anna shook her head. This is not the reason for me to let you go, and from now on, this is no longer the territory of the snake people. This is now Gray's territory. You should apologize to him and make due compensation. The dragon clan elder was confused. In his confusion, Gray coughed slightly and stood up, and hugged Anna's slim waist very arrogantly. After being squeezed by Anna for the past month, he would certainly not be polite to Anna at this time. He would directly hug her to express his identity to our human race. Don't tell him anything about the pretty boy eating soft rice. Others simply don't understand that he doesn't just eat soft food because he is handsome, he eats this food based on his strength. Others have no idea what he has been through this month. Seeing Gray hugging Anna, the old dragon tribe elder below fell silent. He saw clearly just now that it was this human magician who killed the strongest person in their clan in seconds. Having such a strong human being already made his scalp numb. He didn't expect that this human being would have such a relationship with the Countess. He wanted to give himself a slap in the face. Why didn't he inquire carefully about the details of those humans before? Now it's better. If you can't steal the chicken, you can lose the rice. Not only did you sacrifice one of the strongest combatants on your side, but you also have to compensate others. Wang Deshao, the old dragon clan elder, said in a dry voice, I don't know what compensation Master Gray wants. We, the 10 clans, will try our best to satisfy it. The dragon tribe occupies a huge territory and possesses many good things. He thinks that a small amount of compensation will not hurt his bones. Gray squinted his eyes and looked at the dragon tribe below, and suddenly he laughed. Don't worry about compensation for now, how about we sit down and have a good chat? The elder of the dragon tribe breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this. Fortunately, the other party was willing to communicate with him. He suddenly showed a happy smile. Of course. He has already thought about it. As long as he can negotiate, no matter what the price, as long as he can save the lives of his people. But soon he stopped laughing, because this sit down and talk was different from what he had imagined. He did sit down, but why was he tied up? Wait, Why are you tying me up? The old dragon clan elder felt something was wrong, but it was too late now. Behind him were densely packed dragon tribe soldiers. They were tied up one by one like rice dumplings. He is the only exception, because his mouth can still speak. Gray, don't make such a fuss. We humans are too fragile. The snake people are not strong enough to fight. You lizard warriors are too fierce. If they have any ideas, wouldn't I be in danger? So for safety reasons, it's not too much to tie them up. Bar. Gray is sitting on the chair opposite, and Chuya is pouring tea for him. Anna sat next to Gray, wanting to lean on Gray with all her body. Next to them are Mia and Kara. The others were guarding the prisoners. The corners of the mouth of the old dragon clan elder twitched. There are you and the Countess here, who dares to move? But he felt that what Gray said made sense. It is true that he does not have any ideas, but there is no guarantee that his people will. Many Dragonite soldiers died in this war, which was enough to make the soldiers hate Gray. What's more, Gray killed the soldiers, faith under everyone's gaze. Although this gave everyone a great shock, it also made people focus all their hatred on Gray. Normal people naturally understand the current situation, but the elders of the dragon tribe are afraid that their own people are abnormal. He has even determined that there must be a few weak-minded people who really have ideas. Gray seems to be okay with tying them up. At least it won't make it more difficult for him to negotiate. Seeing that he was silent, Gray continued, "Okay, let me tell you your name first. I asked Anna just now. I'm sorry, but she doesn't remember your name." The elder of the old dragon tribe was not surprised by this, because he was taken care of by the Countess before he had a chance to sign up. "My name is Uru." Uru sighed, his already old appearance looking more and more lonely. Gray, "Okay, Uru, let's get down to business now. Why did you lizard tribe go south?" Uru hesitated for a moment, then carefully corrected him, "Master Gray, we are the dragon tribe." Anna frowned. "Uru, actually, I also think the name of the dragon people is too high profile, you can call it whatever you like." "Anna, I like that you will all be called the lizard clan from now on. You are obviously all lizard people. What do you call the dragon clan? Are you related to the dragon clan?" Uru stopped talking. He admitted that Anna was telling the truth, but he chose not to accept it. Anna sneered. "Then kill them all, Gray, it's just a group of lizards. These should be the main force. Even if there are still some in the swamp, it's nothing to be afraid of. I will help you kill them all, AJFH, at that time, their territory will be yours." "Uru, is there any mistake? He just made a silent protest and you were ready to exterminate the entire clan." Uru quickly said, "No problem, we will be called the lizard clan from now on." Uru and Gray did not deliberately lower their voices when talking, so when Uru gave in, many of the lizards behind him that had been tied into rice dumplings began to roll violently, as if in protest. Gray glanced at Alvin who was standing aside. "What are you still doing?" Those who had objections were chopped up first. "What's wrong? You don't understand that you are a prisoner." Alvin thought to himself that after not seeing Master Gray for a month, Master Gray seemed to be even more ruthless. Didn't he always hang him up before? How did he know that the Dragon tribe and the Tauren tribe were different? These guys have long been accustomed to being aloof, burning, killing and looting humans, and Gray has nothing to control them, so these guys will not be obedient. You must not be merciful to such prisoners. Your kindness will appear to them as weakness. They will not be grateful, but will feel that you dare not do anything to them." Uru sighed. He did not look back. There was no point in saying anything at this time. After the strongest one was killed, he understood that the dragon tribe, oh, no, it should be called the lizard tribe now. Even if they are not wiped out by humans and snake people, the bear people and golden eagles will not let go of this opportunity to occupy their territory. Now those tribesmen who haven't seen the form clearly will die sooner or later, so he didn't say anything. Soon, several lizard heads fell to the ground. The remaining lizard men fell silent. Gray took a sip of tea. "Then let's continue. Why did the lizard clan go south?" "Uru, you'd better not think about lying to me." Uru glanced at Gray, and then at the people mining not far away. After struggling with his eyes, he finally closed his eyes and spoke slowly. "It's because of the magic mine." Gray and Anna looked at each other, and they both subconsciously thought of the magic mine they were digging. Because excavation has just begun, and the mineral veins run north-south, in addition to a large area of mineral veins in the south, there is also a considerable part in the north. Originally, they thought that the ore veins in the north should not be large. After all, the ore veins in the south are no longer comparable to the largest existing veins in the field family. That is already a large mine, and no matter how big it is unrealistic. Therefore, they never thought that the reason why the lizard tribe wanted to go south was because they also discovered the magic mine. Gray frowned. In other words, in the swamp, your people know that we have magic mines here. Uru nodded. Yes, this vein is very big, and the area south of the swamp extends all the way south. Honestly, at first, we thought that the mineral vein would reach the edge of our territory at most, but we didn't expect that it would be so big. It would reach here and go south. This is no longer a large mineral vein, this is a super vein. Gray's expression suddenly turned bad when he heard this. Originally only they knew this news, and he could have blocked the news, but now the lizard clan also knew that the news of the failure of the Shishin lizard clan army's southern expedition. The remaining lizard tribe may seek help out of fear of Gray and his group's counterattack and the news of the mines. He and Anna looked at each other, and a trace of murderous intent flashed in their eyes. The best way is to get rid of the remaining members of the lizard clan as quickly as possible. Although this cannot guarantee that the news will not be leaked, it can at least warn and shock the surrounding orcs and tell them that there is a master here. Gray sighed. I originally thought it could be solved easily, but I didn't expect it to be quite troublesome. I didn't expect that this accompanying magic mine is quite large. As expected of that race, it can easily produce super large fire attributes. Magic mine. Uru on the side frowned when he heard this. He hesitated for a moment, and finally spoke in a low voice that only Gray and Anna could hear. No, it's not the fire attribute magic mine, Myrtlee. Gray's breath froze when he heard this. Anna on the side also stood up suddenly. The two said in unison, "What did you say?" Uru sighed. He actually didn't want to say it. This was obviously a gift from the beast god to their orcs. Of course, he didn't want to take advantage of others. But there was no way, who allowed them to lose the battle, and they also met the Countess. They could no longer keep the mines, so they might as well tell them and let Gray and Anna show mercy to them. The most important thing now is to preserve the race in the hands of these two killers. Uru continued in a low voice, Dragon. In the southern part of the lizard tribe's territory, there are mithril mines and a large amount of associated orichalcum mines, and the purity is not low. Gray's eyes suddenly flashed after hearing this, and his eyes towards Uru became kind. Mithril, the most expensive metal on the continent, has extremely strong plasticity, toughness, magical conductivity, and extremely high strength. It is known as the king of metals and is unparalleled among all metal magic materials. The dwarves rose up because they occupied the largest mithril mine. It is said that the gold coins in his clan can fill the entire sea of gold. The dwarves used this wealth to build the army that once dominated the continent. Although orichalcum is inferior to mithril, it is still one of the best metal materials. Especially in weapons, orichalcum has amazing hardness. In addition to having strong magical conductivity, the weapons created are also extremely sharp. In addition to mithril equipment, other weapons and armor can compete with Nan and orichalcum martial crystal. The release of these two ores is enough to cause turmoil in any country. This kind of thing is far beyond what fire attribute magic mines can compare with. If the news about mithril and orichalcum leaks out, it will most likely cause the surrounding kingdoms to covet them. Gray immediately gave up the idea of massacring the entire lizard clan. These lizards don't look very smart, but in fact, Gray can't guarantee that they don't have any tricks up their sleeves. Gray feels that at this time, you have to show your personal charm. Gray is very confident about this. He winked at Anna, and then took Ulu away from here and went to a small wooden house. With his unremitting efforts, Uru was quickly captured by Gray's personality charm. Uru knelt on the ground, with a slave mark identical to Laura's on his forehead. Master, Uru is willing to dedicate everything to you. Gray asked Uru to stand up and untied the rope from his body. Uru, follow me and work hard from now on. The lizard clan will have a bright future. By the way, can you get rid of this mark? Don't let your tribe misunderstand, I really want to be friends with the lizard clan. So those who were friends at that time were enslaving their elders. Uru didn't dare to say it, he just nodded. Of course, Kongji can hide it as long as the master allows it. Gray immediately showed a smile. Allow it, when it is allowed. Soon Uru's slave mark disappeared, and Gray could still feel that Uru was his slave. After confirming that there was no problem, Gray prepared for the next step. It's not enough to enslave Uru. It is indeed perfectly okay to enslave a person. But what Gray wants to enslave is a race. After all, there is a mithril mine in the territory of the lizards. This is a treasure. He needs a force that is strong enough and trustworthy to guard it. There is no one more suitable for this task than the lizards group. He couldn't let the lizard clan members come over one by one to enslave him. This is a huge project for him. What he needs is to enslave a small number of people, and then control the entire race through them. At the same time, only some senior lizard people know about the mithril mine. By enslaving their senior leaders, they can not only control the entire race, but also ensure that the news is not leaked. If you want to make the entire lizard tribe obedient, you can't just shock them, you can't just make them feel awe. The correct way to train subordinates is never to use force to intimidate them. You also need to give them something sweet that they can't refuse. As the highest ranking and smartest lizard man and his slave, Uru is undoubtedly the most suitable person to show his benefits to other lizard men. Gray, Alu, I won't let you work for me in vain. Now relax and accept the power I give you. Remember, this is the power given to you by your master. After Gray finished speaking, he mobilized a ray of mysterious power in his body to enter Uru's body. The next moment, the old lizard elder suddenly felt that the power of blood in his body that had begun to weaken became active and boiling again. And his aging body gradually began to regain its youthful vitality under the power of the boiling blood. Uru's aura began to get stronger and stronger. Feeling that the power in his body was gradually returning to its peak, Uru felt relaxed and happy. If it weren't for the inconvenience now, he would have wanted to scream. Soon, he felt an itch on his body. Uru started to scratch it with his hands, and then he tore off the old skin that had receded from the surface of his body. Afterwards, Uru's rickety and emaciated appearance was no longer replaced by a tall and muscular lizard man. Uru couldn't believe the changes in his body. He said in a trembling voice, "Master, is all this true?" Gray glanced at Uru and nodded firmly. "Uru, everything is true." Looking at the silver-white leather armor on Uru's body, Gray didn't say much. The orcs and monsters he has transformed will have a silver appearance. However, compared to the pure silver hair of the Taiya brothers and sisters, the silver leather armor beside Uru is not very pure, with some gray and black stripes in it. But even so, the transformation has been completed. Gray can clearly feel that Uru is stronger than the lizard man he killed with the electromagnetic gun before. Uru covered his face with his hands in excitement, and tears couldn't help flowing from his eyes. Uru knelt in front of Gray again. "Master, thank you for giving Uru strength. Your order is Uru's mission." Gray was very satisfied with Uru's reaction. He asked Uru to stand up and then asked him to cooperate with him to control the entire lizard clan. Uru frowned slightly when he heard this. "Master, it's too difficult to rely on me alone." Gray smiled. "Of course you won't be the only one. Okay, let's go out first and let your tribe know that you, Uru, have now surpassed the previous strongest lizard tribe, and you are their current spirit." Belief. Gray and Uru came out of the cabin arm in arm. Seeing them coming out, everyone was stunned for a moment. Gray and the others know each other, but who is the lizard man next to Gray? Isn't it Uru who went in with Gray just now? They remembered that Uru was a quite old lizard man. Moreover, the color of this muscular lizard man is also wrong. Before, Uru was dressed in gray, but now he is dressed in silver. What the good guy didn't know was that he was wearing silver coins. The human soldiers, including Anna, were shocked, but soon Anna discovered that it was Uru who was hanging around Gray. His aura is very similar to Uru's, almost the same, the only difference is that his aura is stronger. Anna soon realized why. Oh, every time the blood power of the orcs transforms, the orcs will be reborn. Obviously in this short period of time, Uru's bloodline has transformed. Anna was a little surprised. She didn't understand how Gray did it. There was no doubt that this must be Gray's handiwork. Otherwise, the timing of Aru's transformation would be too coincidental. And the two seemed to be talking and laughing, but in fact, Anna was keenly aware that Aru's attitude towards Gray was completely different. Aru is in awe of Gray. It's not like the awe of the weak towards the strong, but the awe of a servant towards his master. Anna looked at Gray with interest. She didn't know how Gray did it, but this didn't stop her from thinking that her husband was awesome. If you think about it carefully, her husband has always been very powerful and can do many things that others cannot. Human beings don't talk about it. The orcs have already exploded. Especially the lizard people who were originally demoralized. When they saw Aru, they were collectively in a trance. Vaguely, they seemed to see the man they had believed in before. But upon closer inspection, they discovered that this was actually Elder Aru. Then they all became excited. Elder Alu, you see, Elder Alu's bloodline has transformed. Elder Alu has surpassed Elder Menge. Elder Alu's bloodline has changed. The dragon tribe. Ouch, why did you hit me? Now that we are no longer a dragon tribe, you are so loud, do you want to die? Oh, then with Elder Alu in our clan, we are still one of the lower 3 clans. Yes, we still have hope. Probably because they were so excited when they saw Aru, many lizardmen were so excited that they broke free from the ropes around their mouths and started shouting excitedly one by one. Looking at their appearance, they looked like they were defeated and captured. Gray and Aru walked up to the lizardman prisoner. At this moment, Aru was also very high-spirited. He looked at the expectant eyes in front of him and said, "Everyone, as you can see, Brother Meng is not irreplaceable. The strength of the lizard clan has never depended on one person's life or death. As long as we are still alive, and the lizard clan will eventually be great. The hero is never one person, the hero is all of us. Meng Jie, let us embrace the future. Embrace the great race. Oh. Aru is worthy of being an orc who has been an elder all his life. He talks in one way and in a few words he minimizes Meng Jie's influence." The lizard people believed in Aru's words. The orcs, worship of the strong is engraved in their bones. Aru's appearance filled the biggest void in their hearts. The reason why Meng Jie can become a spiritual believer is because he is powerful and invincible. But now, the myth of Meng Jie's invincibility has been ended, and, 100, and other strong men appear, they will naturally believe Aru's words. Aru pressed it with his hand, and the lizard people suddenly became quiet, waiting for Aru's speech with bright eyes. Just when they saw Aru and Gray talking and laughing, they knew that their lives were probably safe. So they don't care about the safety of their lives. What they care about is Aru's attitude towards humans. Aru glanced at everyone, and then showed a smile. "Everyone, there is another good news that I haven't said yet." The lizard people stared at him closely after hearing this, looking forward to the good news he said. "Aru, everyone has seen that just after I was alone with Master Gray, the power of my bloodline transformed. How could such a coincidence happen in the world?" Aru's words caused all the lizardmen's eyes to fall on Gray, who was standing aside. Their eyes were full of doubts, confusion and surprise. They didn't expect that Aru's transformation was actually related to a human being. But as Aru is a party involved, his words are naturally credible. Aru did not continue to whet his appetite. He said loudly, "This Lord Gray possesses the secret medicine that can transform the power of our family's blood. He has promised me that he can share this secret medicine with us. But he has one request, which is that he needs part of our southern territory and needs us to surrender." Hearing Aru's words, the Junjiao people looked at each other. It's not that they think the request is too much, but that they think the request seems a bit too easy. That's right, they feel that this condition is really insignificant compared to the secret medicine that can transform the power of their blood. They have a lot of territory. As long as Gray doesn't plan to kill them all and is willing to provide them with some secret medicine, then the power of their race will not be weakened by the loss of territory but will be greatly enhanced. Maybe they will lose all they have. You can become an elite warrior, a leader, or even an elder. Think about it, the secret medicine provided by Gray can successfully transform the blood power of Aru, who was originally an elder. The effect is astonishing. Trading a piece of useless territory for the secret medicine is a huge gain. And after their strength increases greatly, won't it be easy to get territory? As for surrendering to Gray, that's even simpler. Although the orcs are all bad-tempered and prone to fights over trivial matters, they are also very principled. Gray has defeated them and surrendering to Gray is no problem. Most of the lizard people found it acceptable. Only a small number of lizard people who knew the truth about this southern expedition scorned it. Their eyes when looking at Uru were full of indifference and disdain. They understood that Uru had betrayed the race. Uru didn't wait for the lizard people to ask questions, and he continued, "Okay, if you have any questions, I'll ask you later. Master Gray has something to say to the leader of our clan and some elite warriors, so let's go through the formalities first." Heavy. The surrounding human soldiers immediately followed Uru, taking away the lizardmen who knew the truth, and then he followed Gray back to the cabin again. Because there were more people this time, a dozen or so, the room was a bit crowded. But it's not a big problem. Gray used his powerful personality to shake his tiger body, and all the lizardmen bowed their heads and worshipped, "Master." Gray nodded calmly. "Okay, Uru, I'll leave the rest to you. I have only one request. No one is allowed to leak the secrets of the mithril mine. You can handle the rest yourself. In addition, you are still here your territorial activities." After Gray said this, he then said to Uru, "Now pick 2 people who are close to you, and I will give them strength. If the rest of them want strength, they can work hard for me. If he performs well, I will give him strength." Quote, after Gray finished speaking, he motioned for Uru to look at people. Uru immediately chose 2 commanders who had a good relationship with him before. Gray gave the 2 people power directly in front of everyone. Under the envious eyes of all the lizardmen in the room, the 2 commanders completed their transformation and touched the threshold of the elder level. The other lizardmen looked envious. They all looked at Gray with eager eyes. Gray just smiled and said nothing. "Want power? Okay, work hard." Soon, these lizard people filed out of the cabin. The lizardmen soldiers who didn't know the truth cheered when they saw that 2 more commanders had turned silver, and their auras surged at the same time. "Okay, little ones, time waits for no one. The glory of the lizard people will return to us. But before that, we need to unify the tribe. The tribesmen at home don't know what we have gained. Warriors, let us use facts to tell them that the time for our family to be great has come." Uru said loudly, and at the same time, the surrounding human soldiers began to loosen the lizard people, and then sent them out of the city and ignored them. The lizard people who had regained their freedom took a look at the battlefield where they fought before, and their psychology had completely changed at this moment. After Uru's many speeches and the commander's constant brainwashing, they have concluded that the failure of this war was because Meng Jie was too conceited. He thought he could handle everything, but he was fooled. Not only did he pay the price with his life, but many soldiers also paid the price with their lives. It's all Meng Jie's fault. If it weren't for him, they could coexist peacefully with humans. But it's okay now. They can still live in the territory. They only need to surrender to humans in exchange for the future of the race. This business is not a loss. Under the leadership of Uru, the lizards returned with high morale. If Gray hadn't known the specific situation, he would have thought that he was the one who lost. Of course he had to follow, so that he could control the last resistance of the lizard tribe as soon as possible. Anna, on the other hand, stayed at the level. 2 days later, Gray returned after a long journey. He had successfully taken control of the lizard clan. And he has inspected that vein of minerals in the past 2 days. This super mineral vein is composed of several magic mines. The fire attribute magic mine discovered by Gray, as well as the mithril mine and orichalcum mine on the lizard people's side. In addition, there are 2 general magic mines, but regardless of whatever it is, it's all valuable. Anna's eyebrows curled up after hearing this, and Gray couldn't get out of bed that night. Anna left the next day. Things here were settled and she had to go back. As the highest combat power in the entire territory, she had to go back and take charge. Gray and her have already discussed the matter of the magic mine, and they will start slowly mining the ore during this period. At the same time, Gray also began to have cement roads built between here and his city. A few days later, after settling the matter here, Gray left behind Alvin, Walker, Jean, 1,000 infantry, and 500 light cavalry, and then embarked on the return journey. In the carriage, Mia was lying in Gray's arms, looking at the flickering dragon eggs in the carriage, with a bit of blush on her face. The next day after Anna left, Mia ran into Gray's room and said she wanted to discuss magnetic field magic with Gray. For a simple person like Gray, how could he have imagined that the innocent and lovely Mia would secretly drug Chuya? So Chuya slept deeply that day and did not disturb Mia and Gray's solitude. Mia is very talented, and after witnessing Gray's use of magnetic fields, she became interested in this kind of magic. The two always had a great time chatting. Mia was often shy, and Gray liked to see her shy, especially when the two of them had Anna's permission. Gray Tonga is unscrupulous. Although Mia is shy, every time Gray teases her, she will look at Gray with her big watery eyes. After she peeled off a candy and put it into her mouth, Gray noticed her movements, squinted his eyes, and showed a wicked smile. Milk candy. This sentence made Mia think of something. Gray looked down at her in the sun and asked the same question. He asked, "Milk candy?" She nodded blankly. He said, "What should I do if I want to eat too?" She replied blankly, "You don't have any anymore. I can give you one." He said, "I just want to eat this one in your mouth. The memory blows through my heart like a spring breeze. Today's sun is a little brighter than that day. The snow is still falling. It's a bit cold around, but Mia feels very hot." She felt like her little heart was going to jump out of her chest. She saw the smile on the corner of Gray's mouth, which was a bit evil, but she was used to Gray's teasing and liked Gray's teasing on her very much. Mia looked up at Gray, and this time she struck first. "Want to eat?" Gray was stunned for a moment, then suddenly became interested. He moved closer and nodded. "I want this one in your mouth." Then he felt a faint girl's fragrance lingering on the tip of his nose. Then sweetness and softness. The smell of toffee made Gray addicted. When Chuya came in the next morning, rubbing her swollen temples and carrying hot water for Gray, she was still sleeping soundly in Gray's arms. Seeing this scene, Chuya still didn't understand why he went to bed so early yesterday and was still dizzy today. Mia, this fool, actually drugged her. Chuya gritted his teeth with hatred, but there was absolutely nothing he could do. She could only put down the basin, walk out the door and wait silently for Gray to wake up. In fact, Chuya is not in a hurry. When she first saw Gray in the tribe, she saw a cute human girl who never followed the high-spirited man. She knew at that time that the relationship between the two was unusual. She sighed, "Forget it, just let her take the first step." Only naive women don't care about succession, but real women can firmly capture a man's heart no matter what. Because Mia and Gray's relationship broke through, the two often got tired of being together. Gray finally found his dignity as a man in Mia. This greatly increased his confidence, and he had someone send a carriage. Now he was unwilling to ride a horse. When he was alone, he would ride a horse. What kind of bird could two people ride on? At this moment, the two of them were cozying up in the carriage. "Mia, Master Gray, can this egg really hatch a dragon?" Gray looked at the dragon egg and nodded. "It's okay if nothing else happens." "Mia, then when will it hatch?" Gray shook his head. "I don't know either." "Mia, but with this dragon egg here, the surroundings are very warm, even if it's snowing outside, I won't feel the cold." "Gray, it's actually warmer when you hold me." Gray smiled, reached out and touched the dragon egg, and suddenly felt a warmth in his palm. Ever since Anna woke the egg, it has become more and more active. From the beginning, it only had the breathing light effect, and then gradually began to be able to change the temperature. Even occasionally Gray could hear the heartbeat inside. It was obvious that the little guy inside was completely awake. And there are signs of hatching. I just don't know when it will be hatched. Gray had no experience in hatching eggs, but Gray found that practicing Laura's fire magic next to the dragon egg was very effective. For example, now, Gray uses his mental power to draw out a trace of dragon flame directly from the dragon egg according to the method of practicing fire magic in Laura's magic notebook. Gray looked at the red flame in his hand, and its appearance made Mia feel hot. Gray quickly absorbed it into his body. During this time, he also researched fire magic, and learned the magic left by Laura. Compared to the mediocre templated magic of the Academy, Laura's freewheeling fire magic made him even more interested. What interests him most is that this kind of magic is not satisfied with simply controlling elemental flames. The lethality of fire magic is mainly due to the explosion effect of temperature and fire elements. Laura's notebook records that academic fire magic has strict temperature divisions. Primary magic will not exceed a fixed temperature. This is to allow magicians to release magic more easily without getting themselves injured. The tower sect sneered at this. Since when did magicians become flowers in the greenhouse? They play to the extreme. Therefore, Laura's fire magic abandons the inherent framework. No matter what level of magician, there is no upper limit on the temperature when casting fire magic. Even in order to ensure that the flame can be pushed to extremely high temperatures, it is recorded in the magic book that high-quality flames can be stored into the body in advance. This requires a complex magical ritual and a variety of magical secrets to strengthen the body. And once the powerful fire is stored, you can release powerful flame attacks at will. The casting speed is fast and the power is high. With Gray's learning ability, he learned the magic almost after watching it once, and he even tried absorbing fire in the cabin. Ordinary flames were worthless, so he focused on the dragon eggs. Judging from the attributes of this thing, it must be a fire attribute, so Gray tried to extract fire from the dragon egg. Naturally, it couldn't be pulled out under normal circumstances, so Gray used a little plug-in and then pulled it out. Then he used the power of the plug-in to put the dragon's dragon flame into his body. The effect is great. Gray never feels cold again. And dragon flames can be released anytime and anywhere. Even the dragon egg can only draw out a little bit of dragon flame each time, which makes his fire very small, and he doesn't dare to use it at will. I can only smoke once a day. He counted every time and didn't draw too much. The attribute Qian made the dragon egg unhappy, but it didn't affect its development. After finishing today's dragon flame, Gray felt the power of fire in his body, stretched out comfortably, and then hugged Mia's soft body and fell asleep again. After sleeping on the road for 3 days, he finally returned to his city. In the manor, Gray looked at the financial statements in his hand and fell into deep thought. He discovered a project that had never been done before, but the numbers were extremely arrogant. The secret medicine of the wolf tribe. In just 1 month, this thing actually sold for 160,000 gold coins, faintly occupying the top spot in terms of revenue in the territory. This is still just the beginning. In addition, Gray's place is remote and the publicity is not yet in place. If Harry and the others are called here to directly open up sales channels, Gray can't even imagine how much money this thing can make in a month. It feels like sugar is too, but that's it. Does this business exist in our territory? Gray looked at Tai Ya with some suspicion. When he was away, he was in charge. There is a special city hall in the city that handles various matters. Tai Ya's job is just to sit here and be responsible for the safe and stable operation of everything. Gray didn't expect this guy to make any achievements in the economic field. But I never expected that. I had just come back and looked at the financial statements. Oh my God, my new territory actually had an extra pillar industry. Probably knowing that Gray might not understand this, the report specifically stated that this industry was created by Iron Teeth. Gray quickly found Tai Ya. He suspected that his energy could also increase his IQ. He needed to confirm. Upon hearing Gray's question about the wolf tribe's secret medicine, Tai Ya immediately looked around and talked about him, hemming and hawing for a long time without saying anything. Gray felt something was wrong. Tai Ya has never been humble. After making such a big achievement, Tai Ya actually said it was a trivial matter and told Gray not to worry about it. Gray immediately felt that this was definitely not a trivial matter. He took a closer look. Oh, the partner is actually Quentin. He still doesn't know who this old wolf is. This old guy must be holding back some bad news. Gray felt more and more that there was something wrong here. Before he could continue to ask, Chuya, who had just gone out for shopping, returned to the manor with a strange look on his face. The moment Tai Ya and Chuyi looked at each other, the two brothers and sisters had a silent exchange of souls. Tai Ya, sister, do you know? Chuya, well. Tai Ya, sister, this is not my fault, I have tried my best, please help me. Chuya, you can hide it for a while, but you can't hide it for a lifetime. Tai Ya, Zhongya is still a child. He can't live without his brother. Chuya, it's not that exaggerated. Lord Lule won't do anything to you. Tai Ya, you know what the hell, I don't know what he is like. Chuya, Gray looked at the two brothers and sisters winking and understood what Chuya should do. Chuya, do you know about the Wolf Clan's secret medicine in the city? Gray asked. Chuya glanced at Tia helplessly, and she shrugged, saying that she couldn't help. Chuya, sir, I just heard something about the secret medicine. Does this matter have anything to do with you? Gray's face darkened when he heard this. It's funny, I am energetic and strong. I can stand up with my fists and move horses with my arms. What does selling medicine have to do with me? Chuya reminded in a low voice. Sir, this medicine became popular a month ago. A month ago. Gray instantly thought of Anna. His legs felt weak, and then he remembered Zhengya's words about ordering some wolfberries. Gray suddenly looked up at Taya. Taya forced out a smile. Sir, the matter is very complicated. I hid it very well. The main reason is that my subordinates are too straight, and their secrets were exposed when Quentin made a move. Then there were rumors about you in the city. As a result, as soon as this rumor came out, no one meant to laugh at you, they believed you completely and unconditionally. Then many residents bought the medicine. Once they used it, they couldn't stop. Then it became popular, and they even bought it inside the kingdom. I heard that nobles from more than a dozen territories have contacted us to order large quantities. The orders will be all placed next month. It's full, and the deposit is on the way. If the order is completed, there should be more than 400,000 gold coins next month. Taya looked at Gray's wonderful expression and secretly complained. Gray finally looked at the numbers in the financial statements and fell into deep thought. The combined profits of my own restaurants in the city are less than 1/10 of this thing. This thing is hugely profitable. Gray thinks it's good to have such a pillar industry. It just so happens that he plans to further develop business. The population in the territory is still rising steadily. It now has a population of 7,000 to 8,000. Now it is snowing heavily and agriculture has almost come to a standstill. Just in time to start running the factory. This will not only increase the income of the residents, but also completely improve the territorial economy. The factory in the previous industrial zone has been completed and is just waiting for people to start work. Now it seems that in addition to the previously determined factory, Gray also has to talk to his good friend Quentin. Gray found Quentin in a tavern in the city that day. When the old man was found, he had several girls in his arms, insisting that they touch his chest muscles, which he had practiced for 100 years. Seeing this scene, Gray stepped forward and asked people to drive away the bartenders. When Quentin saw it was Gray, he couldn't help but show his fangs. Hey, Gray, my friend, you must not know that our wolf clan has become rich recently. Gray smiled when he heard this. No, I know. Besides, this is what I came here for. Gray placed the magic sword on Quentin's neck. Quentin. Come on, Gray, I didn't do anything. Quentin still wanted to struggle. Gray nodded upon hearing this, then snapped his fingers, and Taya walked in carrying a few humans. As soon as they saw Quentin, several people nodded wildly. That's him. He said he would give us a cart of wolf treasures and let us spread rumors. Quentin. Well, Gray, my friend, please listen to my explanation. I just thought it was interesting, but later I didn't expect that the drug became a big hit. I even gave you half of the money. Gray sneered when he heard this. You used my reputation, but you still shamelessly asked for half of the money you made. Quentin frowned. That is the secret medicine of the Wolf Clan after all. Gray smiled. Why, do you still have copyright protection awareness here? Quentin was confused when he heard this. What? Gray. I mean, my Chuya also knows the recipe, and the market here is also mine. I want to do business, and you wolves don't even have to drink a mouthful of soup, so I want 90% of the money, and you can only take it. 1%. Quentin was furious when he heard this. He slapped the table, stood up, and said loudly, minus 10% success. Come with me to get the money. Quentin walked as if he didn't recognize his relatives, and said the most cowardly words in the cruelest tone. Under his leadership, Gray quickly arrived at a vault, which contained the profits obtained by the Wolf Clan this month. Quentin gives them all to Gray. Gray was confused. 1/5 of it is yours, you don't want it anymore. Quentin waved his hand. Hey, gold coins are of no use to us. You have a good brain. I will leave the money to you. In addition, Our tribe would like to ask if your primary school will accept children. Gray nodded when he heard this. Of course, both wolf and tauren children are welcome. Other races must be approved by you before they can enter the school. Quentin. That's good. I heard that your school educates children very well. It's great. I didn't expect orc children to have the opportunity to learn knowledge. You are such a strange guy. You actually do business and open a school here. Gray shrugged. I've said it before, I'm here to take you out of poverty and become rich. I'm a good person. Quentin rolled his eyes. Do you believe this? Gray was unhappy. Of course I believe it, and I firmly believe that I am your future. Don't tell me that after I come, the wolves and other people will be hungry. Quentin could only shake his head. No. Gray shrugged. That's all right. By the way, the snake tribe's new settlement should be settled, right? When Quentin mentioned this, his eyes lit up. Of course, they settled around your number. 18 Flame Tower. Speaking of, where did you get so many magic ores? Why did you build so many flame towers? Who are you guarding against? Quote. Gray sighed. No way, you don't know my talent. One day, someone will be jealous of me, envious of me, and want to take everything from me. It is necessary to guard against others. Of course, I am not guarding against others. You orcs, you don't have that kind of mind. Quentin. The two of them were walking in the city when they happened to see a newly opened pub in the commercial street in front of them, and their eyes suddenly lit up. This is a tavern opened by the Snake Tribe, and the waiters inside are all beautiful Snake Tribe beauties. Gray also saw his old acquaintance Maggie at the door. The waist of this beautiful snake is still so attractive. Gray and Quentin looked at each other and walked towards the tavern in a tacit understanding. Master Gray, Master Quentin. Maggie waved to the two of them lively, then came to Gray's side, naturally took Gray's arm, and led Gray to the VIP box on the second floor of the tavern. Master Gray, what would you like to drink? Maggie looked at Gray. Gray glanced at the wine list casually, and then said casually, here's your specialty wine. Maggie smiled and nodded. Okay, Master Gray. Then she turned to look at Quentin. What about you? Quentin. Same old. Maggie nodded. Okay. Maggie put away the wine list, turned around and opened the door, and immediately several beautiful snakes came in. They were a little embarrassed at first after they came in, but they quickly locked onto Gray and cast a few eyebrows at him. Gray directly conquered the entire dragon tribe, oh no, now called the lizard tribe. And he defeated Mengje, the mountain that once weighed on the heads of the entire snake tribe, in seconds. Such achievements make the beautiful snakes excited. Maggie flicked her tail and threw all the beautiful snakes out of the door. Then she smiled apologetically at Gray, then turned around and closed the door, and warned the other tribesmen to stay calm. Gray was his guest. They are not allowed to cut off the beard. As for the other old werewolf, they can do it. TCH, that lecherous old werewolf stares at me lustfully every time. It's so disgusting. Yes, every time he comes, he orders the cheapest drinks. He likes to do things without saying a word. He doesn't leave tips. It's so annoying. That's right, inside the door. As an orc elder and senior warrior, Gray has a strong physique. As long as they want to, they can naturally hear the conversations outside the door clearly. Quentin drank the water silently. Young people today are too impatient. Gray rolled his eyes. Do you wolf tribe have anything similar to the snake heart nut? After Gray returned, he had planted the seeds of the constitution fruit in the garden behind his manor, and they were growing well. Although they don't grow as fast as the talking guy, the advantage is that they don't have any ambitions and can only bear fruit for him with peace of mind. As for the small fruit tree, it is no longer small. It is now more than 2 meters tall. The foundation is being laid recently, and all the nutrients are used to nourish the roots and trunk. This is the giant tree growth experience taught to it by the little tree of life next door. It is currently trying to take root. And its seeds have taken root and sprouted, and there are already signs of bearing fruit today. For more than a month, the small fruit trees cultivated many seeds for him. Currently, a large area of land outside Gray Manor is covered with fruit trees. It is estimated that there can be fruits at a time, which can quickly strengthen the physique of his soldiers. But Gray felt it wasn't enough. He felt that the wolf tribe should also have good things. I originally wanted to ask Chuya, but I always forgot. I met Quentin today and just wanted to ask. When Quentin heard this, he looked at Gray warily. What else are you planning? As soon as Gray saw Quentin's reaction, he knew that the wolf tribe also had good things. He should be right in thinking, how could a race that can stand out among so many orc tribes really have no background at all? Even the snake tribe has snake hard nuts. It is impossible for other races to have nothing. Ask Hywin again in a few days. Gray immediately came to Quentin and put his arm around him. If you have any, please lend me some seeds. Quentin breathed a sigh of relief. He had a lot of seeds in his hand, as long as he didn't borrow the fruits. Quentin glanced at Gray. If you don't want to borrow it, I'll exchange it for something. Gray, what do you want? Quentin, hey, didn't you find a magic mine? Gray raised his eyebrows. Your wolf clan should have a lot of mines, right? I saw you bringing in truckloads of fire element magic ores at the trade fair. Do you lack me? Quentin showed a smile. Oh, of course we AJBI are not short of minerals, but we are short of people. If we have mines, we can't make good things for ourselves. We can only buy them for you humans at low prices. You don't even know how expensive the weapons and armor made from our wolf minerals are in your human stores. It's just a money grab. So I thought, why can't we make our own weapons and sell them? Hearing Quentin's words, Gray was a little surprised. Quentin, okay, I know that the industry has been upgraded. In fact, if you don't tell me, I will tell you sooner or later. Let's do this. I will suffer a little loss. You give me the mine and I will pay for it. People contribute to mining, forging weapons, and can even customize armors and weapons for your wolf clan. You don't have to do anything, and then we share the profit 30 to 70. Quentin looked at Gray sideways. Wolf clan 7. Gray smiled softly and said, I haven't seen you for a month, and I have learned to tell cold jokes. The two stared at each other for a long time, until Maggie came in with 2 glasses of wine, and then they separated silently. Maggie didn't leave after she came in, she just sat next to Gray, and took the initiative to serve Gray with her slender little hands. Gray didn't even need to do it himself. She would put the wine glass to his mouth. When the drink spilled out of the corner of his mouth, the beautiful snake moved directly to Gray's mouth to clean up the drink. Gray almost forgot that there was a staring old werewolf opposite him. Quentin, 55. He couldn't help it. Gray glanced at him. We are all friends. I provide workers, blacksmiths, and sales channels. 10% of the cost must be given to me. Quentin thought for a while. Okay. Anyway, his wolf pups have average mining abilities. Gray suddenly smiled. Happy cooperation. When will the things be given to me? Quentin took out a small bag from his arms and threw it to Gray. I'll give it to you now. There are 20 seeds here, but I promised you one thing in advance. If you can't plant them, don't worry about me. These are good seeds. Gray glanced at the cloth bag and put it away. It seems that the life of the wolf tribe has indeed improved, and they all use such good cloth. Quentin smiled. Life is so good now. This month, there were 50 more pregnant women in the tribe. Seeing that the tribe is about to prosper, as an elder, he is really happy. Is this the wolf clan's secret medicine seed? Maggie on the side was a little surprised after seeing the seeds. She thought that Gray had also asked for a sapodilla seed before. She couldn't help but ask, Master Gray, what happened to the sapodilla seed I gave you before? Is it withered? Maggie knew the situation of the seeds very well. She knew that the snake heart fruit would not germinate without the snake people planting it. Gray shook his head. No, it has been planted. It is now 2 meters high. It has grown into a giant tree like a tree of life. This is its ideal. After hearing Gray's serious nonsense, Maggie chuckled. Sir, do you want to say that if I don't believe it, I will go home with you and have a look? Gray was stunned. He really didn't have this idea. Maggie didn't wait for his answer and said into his ear, but I'm very busy these days. It's inconvenient. Do you want to wait for a few days? Gray heavenly man. Her warm tongue traced Gray's earlobe, and Gray took a sip of wine to calm down his shock. It's okay, you can come and take a look if you have time. This beautiful snake is really outrageous. She touches him without saying a word, and actually thinks of him as a man who is greedy for beauty. Gray must prove that even if he takes her home, he will never do anything, absolutely. When Gray returned to the manor, Mia was still supervising the work at the flame tower. Since becoming the hostess here, Mia has paid much more attention to the territory. She will keep an eye on things that Gray doesn't care about, and she won't let go of every aspect. She is a complete little housekeeper. I ran out again. I told her to rest, but it seems she's still not tired enough. She needs to work harder tonight. Gray wiped the red lip marks on his face and muttered while holding up his pants. Suddenly he heard some movement outside the window. He walked to the window and happened to see Chuya carrying a kettle for himself. Orchard watering. The saplings with physical fruits are basically only half a person tall, and the fruit trees are already blooming at this moment. The bright red flowers swayed in the wind, and the autumn leaves' long skirt was blown up by the breeze, revealing a section of her fair and slender calves. Gray squinted his eyes and saw that Chuya was not wearing any shoes, and his white and tender feet looked extremely red and delicate in the snow. Gray suddenly looked serious. Isn't this nonsense? Although the backyard is full of lawn, what if there are any sharp stones? It's such a cold weather, how can you not wear shoes? Gray quickly went downstairs and saw Chuya's shoes and socks outside the orchard. He took them and walked towards Chuya. Chuya had discovered Gray a long time ago. She even took off her shoes and socks, taking advantage of all her advantages. After the previous experience of having her home stolen, Mia was like a dog's skin plaster. She stayed with Gray every night, guarding her tightly and not giving her any chance. Chuya felt itchy with hatred when he thought of this incident. That little fool got it herself and was ready to block the way for others. If she wanted to tidy up Gray as well as Lady Anna, then Chuya wouldn't say anything. But that fool obviously can't satisfy Master Gray, but she still doesn't want to share it. Chuya couldn't bear it at all. No, she asked her brother Taiya to drive away that annoying fool these days. It was too easy to get rid of Mia. Ever since she climbed into Master Gray's bed, she acted like a hostess and was very concerned about everything in the territory. Taiya only needed to say that the workers who built the flame tower were a bit lazy. He hurriedly ran to supervise the work. Chuya despises this very much. But it was precisely because of Mia's reaction that she finally found the opportunity. When Gray found Mia, a strong wind happened to blow. The girl's short shawl hair was blown a little messy. She pushed her hair behind her ears, revealing her smooth jawline and slender neck. Also, I don't know if it was Gray's misunderstanding, but he always felt that Chuya's clothes were a bit frugal today, and he was still wearing them despite such a big hole in his chest. Gray sighed in his heart. She was indeed his maid, so diligent and frugal. He was greatly touched, and looked at her twice to show respect. Gray stepped forward and asked with concern, Chuya, why don't you wear shoes in such a cold weather? Hearing this, Chuya spoke softly, Master Gray, the wolves are not afraid of the cold. Gray looked serious. Is this a question of whether you are afraid of the cold? When the weather is cold, you must wear shoes. Sit down quickly and I will help you put them on. With that said, Gray pulled Chuya to the manor. After pressing Chuya on the chair, Gray took out the white socks and started giving them to Chuya. Gray, look, your feet are turned red from the cold, and they're still so cold. Chuya raised his feet and placed them on Gray's hands. His face became flushed, and his eyes began to moisten. Gray said he was putting socks on for her, but it took him half an hour to put them on and she still hadn't put them on yet. Chuya felt that she was almost done, so she threw herself into Gray's arms. Master Gray, other parts of my body are also red from the cold. Gray looked serious. Is it serious? Chuya, it's very serious, just like the feet. Gray nodded seriously. That's really serious, I'll rub it for you. Chuya, there is medicine in my room. Gray picked up Chuya and entered her room. Chuya, your tail is so cute. Where is the medicine? Woohoo. Gray's next words were choked back in his mouth. Gray didn't walk out of Chuya's room until dinner time. As soon as they reached the hall, the door was pushed open, and Mia and Taiya walked in, just in time to see Gray tightening his belt. Mia, finally. Gray coughed and broke the silence. What, how is the construction of the flame extinguishing tower going? Taiya quickly said, half of the flame tower in the city has been built. Outside the city, because of taking care of the snake tribe, Flame Tower number 189 was built as a priority. It will be completed in about 2 or 3 months. Gray glanced at Mia. I told you earlier, no problem, you have to supervise it personally. Mia curled her lips and looked so aggrieved that she was about to cry. She had just become the hostess and was a little excited. She didn't expect anyone to steal the house. She was unhappy at the thought of having to share Gray with Akiha in the future. But looking back and thinking about it, she was not very glorious when she drugged Chuya. In the end, she could only sigh. Master Gray, you will have fewer maids like Chuya in the future. I'm afraid that Master Anna will be unhappy. Gray was happy when he heard this. He reached out and pinched Mia's little face. Why do I feel that it's not Anna who is unhappy, but someone else? Mia's face turned red when she was exposed, but she still said angrily, then can you promise me? Gray thought for a while and nodded. I promise you, just promise you. Mia then smiled with satisfaction. But her smile didn't last long, because the black lines came. After more than a month of selection and training, this old black bull proudly walked into the manor with 18 beauties from various tribes, wearing uniform-made uniforms. Heiwen saw Taiya and Mia as soon as he entered the door, but as an elder of the Tauran tribe, Taiya was a junior in his eyes. As for Mia, Heiwen feels that there is no difference between her and the maids behind him, and they will all compete for favor in the future. In this case, there is no need for him to smile, he must stand firmly on the orc's side. Heiwen, Master Gray. Fortunately, I have fulfilled my destiny. After many selections, I finally selected 18 women with outstanding image, temperament and strength. After saying that, he turned back to the orc maids and said, what are you doing standing still? Why don't you call me master? The female orcs are all as beautiful as flowers, completely in line with human aesthetic standards. They are thin and plump, and even Gray is dazzled by them. Master. The girls smiled sweetly and bowed obediently to Gray. Everything they said and did perfectly met the maid's requirements. One look at it and you can tell that the black pattern has taken a lot of effort. Gray also remembered that he had a plan to fight the maid. This plan should now be completed. He thought it was very good, and decided to allow a dozen more people from the two clan to catch his pet pieces and practice this month. Gray. Okay, I happen to be short of someone at home, so you came at the right time. She had just promised not to find a maid like this. But she couldn't say anything, because it was obvious that this was Gray's previous decision. She had some impressions, and since there was indeed a shortage of maids and guards in the manor, she didn't say anything in the end. Instead, he took the initiative to take these maids to familiarize themselves with the environment in the manor. There was no other way. Chuya probably couldn't get out of bed now, so she had to do this work for her. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.